and they don't care what others think. He sat by the bed for a long time, but caught a glimpse of a few pieces of paper out of the corner of his eye. Pick it up and take a closer look. This is the distribution map of the Imperial Palace's military forces. No, it also marks the weak points as well as a new defense map and a palace construction map. Li Yuan was stunned. This mysterious man was not here to kill him, he warned him inexplicably. Left a new defense map and palace construction map, and then left. The more he looked at this new defense map and palace construction map, the more frightened he became. The defense he was so proud of before was simply rubbish compared to this picture. Divine gold. Li Yuan was numb. I really don't understand what these people are thinking. However, this also sounded a wake-up call for Li Yuan. The defenses must be changed and the palace blueprints must be improved. On this defense map, there are punctuation marks where this person walked by, and this is the weak point of the defense. This person has probably sneaked into the palace for some time. There are too many laborers. And the palace is still under construction. It's not difficult to sneak in because there are so many people. Li Yuan woke Liu Su up. Your Majesty. Did I fall asleep? Liu Su was still a little dazed. Li Yuan smiled bitterly. What do you mean you fell asleep? You were knocked unconscious. He was helpless. Liu Su's martial arts were indeed very good, but there were super powerful people in this world who could kill hundreds of people or defeat thousands of people. Liu Su is no match for this pervert with extraordinary personal strength. And Hawkeye is only a god with divine power. He is a good fighter on the battlefield, but his personal martial arts skills are a little bit worse. Liu Su also woke up and immediately jumped up, drew his sword, and said with a vigilant look, Your Majesty, where is the thief? Let's go. Li Yuan placed the defense map and the palace design in front of her. And leave this behind. Liu Su knelt on the ground. I deserve to die for not being able to protect your Majesty. Li Yuan helped her up and said, It has nothing to do with you. This world is too big. There are always one or two monsters with extraordinary abilities. Think about the 108 heroes in Water Margin. Each of them is a capable person. However, this incident also reminded me that the guard force in the palace is too weak and needs to be strengthened. The Special Forces Battalion will be divided into another battalion to train guards to protect me personally. As for those martial arts masters, Li Yuan would never recruit them unless they were loyal no matter how high their kung fu skills were. They were afraid of kitchen knives. He didn't believe that anyone could withstand bullets. Liu Su couldn't help but slap herself. Your mind is full of men, you can't even do your job well. How can she have the face to stay with His Majesty? Fortunately, the person who came today had no bad intentions. If so, Day's sky would have collapsed. Then she is the eternal sinner. Your Majesty, I resign. I said, I don't blame you. Li Yuan frowned. Liu Su shook her head. This is not surprising. If something happens to His Majesty today, Liu Su would die 100 times and it would not be enough. If I am not capable enough to protect His Majesty, how can I stay here? Your ability cannot be matched by 100 masters, Li Yuan said. If your martial arts are not good enough, you can practice hard, and if your defense is not good enough, you can change it, but the only thing you can't buy is sincerity. Even if I was in trouble today, it was because of my own carelessness and has nothing to do with you. Liu Su said with red eyes, Your Majesty, please give me some time. I will come back when I am truly capable of protecting you. She knelt on the ground, swearing in her heart. And that mysterious man, I must find him. If anyone dares to threaten your Majesty, I will kill him even if I have to dig 3 feet into the ground. You can kill her, but you can't kill Li Yuan. Even if it's just a threat, it's not allowed. No matter how Li Yuan persuaded her, it was useless. He could only follow her wishes. That's great. After leaving Honggu, you are leaving me again now. I am truly alone. Chapter 305. There is no sword in my hand, but there is a sword in my heart. A mysterious man broke into the palace at night. But Li Yuan did not make it public. He just secretly replaced all the guards of the palace. Moreover, he called in Blind Chen and showed him the new defense map and palace design drawings. Take a look at my new defense map and palace design drawings. Blind Chen said in surprise, Your Majesty, the original design of the palace was very good. Why is it that? Li Yuan shook his head. The earlier blueprint was drawn by Li Yuan combining the Tashi Palace and the Forbidden City. Perhaps he only considered how to defend the army at the beginning. But he was indeed a little lacking in guarding against assassinations. Take a look at this version and tell the truth, Li Yuan said. Okay? It's more thoughtful and detailed than before. You see, not only is the defense more rigorous, but the fire prevention is also more reasonable than before. However, this copy of the map seems to be 41 larger than the first version. Blind Chen touched his chin and said, Besides, this picture looks a bit like the picture of the Daqian Palace. Li Yuan said calmly, Are you sure it is similar to the picture of Daqian Palace? Yes. I am sure that in these years of setting up intelligence points, the palaces of various countries have been the focus of attack, so I am deeply impressed. The Dakian Palace is bordered by the four symbols and is a huge defensive fortification. Without 4 or 500,000 people, it would be impossible to capture the imperial city. Moreover, the interior is complicated and it is easy to be ambushed if you rush in without knowing the terrain. These locations are suitable for hiding guards in peaceful times and soldiers in troubled times, and there are not many blind spots. Li Yuan said calmly, "Do you have the blueprints of the Three Kingdoms Palace?" "Yes, I will go get it right away." The blueprints of the Three Kingdoms Imperial Palace are highly confidential and are not accessible to ordinary people. Soon, Blind Shen came over with a large number of drawings. "Your Majesty, please review them." Li Yuan asked Wu Sun to spread the drawings on the ground. Take off his shoes and look at the drawings carefully. Just as Blind Shen said, the drawings left by the mysterious man are generally based on the four symbols. If you look more closely, it looks a bit like the arch-shaped imperial palace of Deaxia, the so-called bow-shaped palace. The main hall is located at the intersection of the arrow and the bowstring, and the two wings are the east and west palaces. There are a large number of guards at each node. A dodging palace is a tank-type palace. Only the Dakian Palace was shield-shaped, and was laughed at by the world as a turtle shell. Li Yuan rubbed his head, trying to find clues about the mysterious man from the drawings, but it was too difficult. Your Majesty's new blueprint combines the advantages of the Three Kingdoms Palace and is perfect. Blind Shen said, the palace has not been completed yet, so it is not difficult to modify it. Li Yuan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He was now afraid that the enemy was hiding inside and using this blueprint once it was leaked. It would not be good for Day. Li Yuan thought for a moment and said, I told you that I want to hear the truth from your perspective. What are the weaknesses of this blueprint and deployment? I didn't ask you to come here to praise me. Blind Shen twirled his short beard, then looked at it carefully, and then said to Li Yuan, Your Majesty, can you give me a pencil? Li Yuan handed over the pen he was carrying and asked Wu Sun to spread out the new drawings. Thank you, Your Majesty. Blind Shen was lying on the drawing, writing and drawing with his butt sticking out. After half an hour, Blind Shen wiped the sweat from his forehead and said, Your Majesty, please take a look. Li Yuan stepped forward, and Blind Shen marked down the deficiencies on the drawing. And he explained every point. The palace is not only about feng shui, but also about living people. So feng shui must be good. The second thing is defense, fire prevention, ground dragon turning over, and palace skew. No matter how well the defense is deployed, there will always be weaknesses. Whenever there is a handover of patrols, there will always be a gap. No matter how high the tower is built, there is always a way to climb it. Therefore, I believe that the most important thing is to ensure the safety of the main hall. With Yangping Palace as the base, there must be no gaps within 500 meters around it, unless that person can fly over from the sky. Even if the internal drawings were changed to flowers, it would be of no use. Remember, the simplest ones are the most practical. If you can see everything at a glance without any obstruction, that is the real top-level defense. This new drawing is great and does just that. I have only added some ideas based on this version of the blueprint, so as to develop the defensive capabilities of the new blueprint to the greatest extent possible. Li Yuan understood his implication. I understand. He asked someone to put away the drawings, including the other 3 copies. Someone broke into the palace last night. Blind Shen was stunned for a moment, then he heard Li Yuan continue. That man got past the layers of guards and sneaked into the Yang Xian Palace without anyone noticing, knocked out Li Su and Wu Sun, and delivered the palace blueprints and new defenses. He also threatened me that if I didn't behave like a good emperor, he would kill me. Blind Shen was also frightened and broke out in a cold sweat. He then said in a deep voice, This person is either a thief who knows the defenses of the palace well, or he is a hermit. I think so too, Li Yuan said. Day is a new country and a multi-ethnic country. It seems prosperous, but there are many problems inside. It's just that these problems are being covered up now, but they will eventually show up over time. I think we can start from 2 aspects, Blind Shen said, search internally and secondly, start from the underworld. I have asked the Special Forces Battalion to conduct an internal investigation. The outside is up to you. I obey your order. Blind Shen bowed and said, There are only a handful of people in the Middle-earth who possess this ability, and if this person is not an insider, he must still be staying in the capital. On the other side, in the tea house. Master, where are we going next? The sword master was listening to the book with great interest, and suddenly said in displeasure, You are so rude. The old eunuch cried out, Ouch, and slapped himself in the face. You old slave, you are such a jerk. This master of his loves nothing but swords. It was because the storyteller below happened to be talking about the sword demon Duqyuba, who has been roaming the martial arts world for more than 30 years. has killed all enemies and defeated all heroes. There is no one in the world who can resist him. He has no choice but to live in seclusion in a deep valley and make eagles his friends. It would be great if this Dugufuyuba really existed. Sword Saint sighed. I just didn't expect that Lu Yuan's understanding of swordsmanship is so thorough. He can make light things look heavy and heavy things look light. It's a pity that I went to see him last night and he didn't know how to use a sword. There is also the Dugu-9 swords. There is no sword in the hand, but there is a sword in the heart. Even I haven't reached this level. I have been living in seclusion in Nanshan for many years. Isn't it just to wipe away the dust in my heart? But till now, my heart is still covered with dust and I am unable to enter the Tao. Chapter 306, The Huns Enter the Country. The Sword Saint went to find Lu Yuan not to show off, he was just curious about whether Lu Yuan, who could write Dugufuyuba, Sword 23, and Fairy from the Sky, could use a sword. He was really looking forward to someone fighting with him. After decades of silence, no one could take his sword. He was very disappointed because Lu Yuan did not know how to use a sword. He went there with high hopes but returned disappointed. He could only listen to the storyteller in the tea house talking about the demeanor of the characters in the novel. Or should I be like Fu Hongzhu and only practice one sword technique for my entire life? The swordmaster was distressed. He felt that there was more and more haze in his heart. He really wanted to ask Lu Yuan in person, but unfortunately, he was too pretentious last night. What a loss. The sword master sighed. I shouldn't have said that. He is probably looking for me all over the world right now. The old eunuch also sighed quietly and was about to speak when he saw his master fighting with chopsticks in his left and right hands. His eyes widened. Fighting with both hands? Combining hardness and softness? Is this possible? The sword master played with it for a while and said, not even close. The meaning of Taikai in the book is not my way. He threw down a silver ingot and picked up the bamboo stick. Let's go to the bookstore. It is said that the boy has asked someone to write another book called Sword of You Girl. This boy only knows how to cheat people out of money. The old eunuch didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Who could have thought that the sword master who defeated all his rivals in the world would be obsessed with storybooks? If this gets out, won't those people be shocked? Master, are we not going to look for the young master? He won't be able to come back alive if he's dead. If he's alive, there will definitely be news. The sword saint waved his hands. I've already avenged him, and I fulfilled my duty as a teacher. What else do you want from me? You are open-minded, the old eunuch said helplessly. The sword master went to the bookstore but didn't buy it. He bought it from a fellow book friend at a high price. This is only the first volume. There's a lot more to come. However, when he saw that the Shepherd King was fighting against 1,000 people alone, he quickly became addicted to it. At this time, to the west of Dajing, countless cavalry were approaching rapidly. When the guards of Shaoxi Pass discovered it, the army was already approaching. The bell, which had not been rung for more than 100 years, was rung at this moment. When? Hearing the bell, the guards inside the pass were stunned for a moment. They even wondered why the bell was ringing for no reason. It was not until the sound of galloping horses rang into their ears and the earth shook that they realized why the bells were ringing. Enemy attack. The explosion broke the peace of Shaoxi Pass that had lasted for more than 100 years. The defenders ran up the city wall in a scattered manner. The general inside the pass got off the woman and ran out while pulling up his trousers. What they didn't know was what a terrifying enemy lay hidden beneath the thick smoke. They had the sharpest forged swords and the strongest armor, and they destroyed dozens of countries along the way. The number of cavalrymen also snowballed from 100,000 at the beginning to 300,000. The general climbed up the city wall and looked at the endless smoke and dust. He was terrified and asked, where on earth are these enemies coming from? To the west of Dajing are the hundreds of Western Yi countries. In that vast land, there are either deserts or rich oases. There are probably thousands of countries, large and small. Even if it is a big scene, it only has intersections with hundreds of surrounding countries. These people would never dare to invade Dajing. The sky was full of yellow sand, making it difficult to see clearly. War is imminent. Chenjing. Xia Cheng was reviewing memorials in the council hall. It feels good to be an emperor, even if there is a big leaf pressing on his head. Moreover, he followed Day's example and started a newspaper to control public opinion, and people's opinion of him gradually improved. In the eyes of everyone, he had become an emperor who endured humiliation and infiltrated the enemy for the sake of the country and the people. On the other hand, he vigorously eliminated Neon Wenyao's party. A few days ago, he directly wiped out the Neon family. This incident alarmed the Queen Mother, who had a big fight with him, but this did not stop Xia Cheng. And now, what is more important is to clean up the area around the concession to facilitate the entry of Day soldiers. Not only did he have to provide the land, he even had to pay for the construction of the concession. This is a great humiliation. But who made Dajing lose? Just when Xia Cheng was planning to build a tunnel under the concession, a voice broke his thoughts. Report, enemy attacks at Shaoxi Pass. The sudden urgent news left Xi Ching stunned. The scout knelt on the ground and said in a trembling voice, "Your Majesty, something terrible has happened. Soldiers from a foreign race have invaded Shaoxi Pass. Shaoxi Pass has been breached, and hundreds of thousands of soldiers and civilians in the city have been slaughtered. Afterwards, these people went all the way south, captured several cities in succession, killing, setting fire, burning, looting, as if it were a no man's land. These people killed the men and treated the women as two-legged sheep, playing with them at will, and then cooking them alive as food." When the scout said this, his eyes were filled with fear. Xi Ching dropped the document in his hand and said, "Hurry up and submit the urgent report." The eunuch presented the urgent report. After reading it, Xi Ching took a deep breath and said, "The Xiongnu Kingdom, is there such a powerful country in the Western Yi?" The urgent report said that the Xiongnu Kingdom was omnipresent in the Western barbarians, with more than 2 million cavalry alone, and its territory was even larger than that of the entire Middle Earth. Moreover, wherever the Xiongnu Kingdom went, there were devastating casualties. As it moved westwards, it destroyed countless countries. It was extremely brutal and terribly cruel. How dare the Western barbarians act so violently? Xi Cheng slammed the table, but before he could give the order, letters of 800 miles were sent to the palace one after another. Yangshu fell, falling to the west. Within just 2 hours, 6 urgent reports were received in the capital. Xi Cheng hurriedly summoned the court officials, and they were all dumbfounded when they saw the urgent news coming from the west. "Your Majesty, the Xiongnu seem to be a barbaric tribe that roamed the Middle-earth more than 200 years ago. Aren't they lingering in the depths of the deserts? How could such a huge country be established suddenly? Yeah, could this be Day's conspiracy? You ask me. Who should I ask?" Xi Cheng said angrily. "Does Day need to play such a conspiracy? As long as they want, they can send troops to attack Xinjiang at any time. Use your pig brains to think about it carefully." He is so tired. He realized that there was a reason why Dajing lost so badly. The entire country's top officials have been hollowed out by the decadent lifestyle, and even their brains have been lost. The enemy advanced rapidly, and the entire West suffered. But they did not feel the slightest sense of crisis. Everyone was silent. "Your Majesty, the most urgent task is to dispatch troops for reinforcement. A western part already has few troops, and this attack on Day has drawn elite troops from all over the country, which has left the western part empty and given the Xiongnu an opportunity to take advantage." Xi Cheng's brother-in-law, the new uncle of the emperor, Sun Wuji, stepped out and said, "We only need to send troops to guard the western gate and block the enemy's attack, and we will surely be able to defeat the enemy. No matter how powerful the cavalry is, it cannot be more powerful than the ones manufactured by Day. Isn't Day going to send troops into the country? It's a good opportunity to let Day send troops and take the opportunity to consume Day's strength." Chapter 307 Feast. The strength of the Huns was far beyond Xi Cheng's imagination. Before Yi's army entered the country, the Huns had already destroyed the western part of Dajing. In just 3 days, more than a dozen cities, large and small, were lost. Although the west is poor, it has a large territory, occupying 1/3 of the land of Dajing. It is a very important strategic location in Dajing. Xi Cheng felt uneasy. On the 7th day after the Hun troops entered the country, half of the west fell. To describe it in one word, it is horrific. Not a single man was spared, not even the children were let go. They were roasted over the fire. Just thinking about it made his stomach churn. All the houses and food that could not be taken away were burned. The wheat fields were burned to charcoal. A large number of people began to flee to the south, and even soldiers in some cities began to flee. The entire Western war situation was completely ruined. Xi Cheng sat on the dragon throne in a daze. "I thought that if I became an emperor, I would be able to stage a comeback drama of sleeping on straw and tasting gall. As a result, before they could even get comfortable in their seats, alien races invaded. Dajing had no chance to fight back against the Huns. Several important towns in the west have been captured. Xi Cheng can no longer sit still. Quick! Go to Day to get help." Meanwhile, Day. Liu Yuan has been busy since he ascended the throne for more than a month. It was only today that he had free time to deal with those women. Looking at Xiaoyu, who was kneeling below, Liu Yuan saw the shadow of Xiaoji and Jia in her. Although she is younger than Xiaoji and Jia, she is still a level lower than Xiaoji and Jia and does not have her temperament. Perhaps there are too many beauties around Liu Yuan, so he is not too interested in top beauties like Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu was also very nervous. "Your Majesty, I have stayed in the guest house for more than 40 days and have not been summoned by Your Majesty. Does Your Majesty hate me?" Not annoying. Hearing this, Xiaoyu breathed a sigh of relief. "The weather is getting colder. I want to serve Your Majesty, even if it's just to warm the bed." Being able to come today to marry is the best outcome she can think of. If he were still in Bianjing, he would sooner or later be toyed with by Yang Ji and his son. and his life would be worse than death. Li Yuan is the most powerful man in the world, he is young and handsome, committing yourself to him is almost the best choice. She was very tormented when Li Yuan didn't summon her. After seeing Li Yuan, she was filled with joy. If you want to maintain your status and your wealth and glory, you must cling to this man's thigh. She is not as stupid as Xiaoji and Jia. If she is Huan's mother, she must be the queen of day. Li Yuan looked at her with interest. There are so many women who want to warm my bed, why should I let you come? With my sincerity and loyalty to your majesty, I don't have any great abilities, I just want to help you relieve your fatigue and boredom in your spare time. Loyalty cannot be expressed in words. Li Yuan shook his head and lost interest in Xiao Yu after Honggu left. Only Li Wuyu and Xi Aining could make him look at him in the eye. Other women just satisfy their needs and reproduce. Li Yuan was fed up with the drama they performed to win favor. Since you've entered the palace, you should stay here. Li Yuan thought for a moment. Tell Sister Luo that Xiao Yu is the Xiao Yi, and let her make the arrangements as appropriate. Your Majesty, I bow to you in thanks. Xiao Yu was a little disappointed. They were both princesses, so why couldn't she even be one of the 4 concubines and could only be a Xiao Yi? After leaving Yongping Palace, Xiao Yu thought, should I join forces with Xiaoji and Jia? Inside the palace, Wu Sun asked. Your Majesty, do you want Xiao Yi to sleep with you tonight? Li Yuan shook his head, forget it. Your Majesty, you have been busy with state affairs these days and have neglected your concubines. You must know that favoring concubines is also a state matter, Wu Sun reminded. This is his responsibility as a eunuch. Li Yuan thought for a moment and said, then let us just be worry-free. Previously, we had not moved her because we considered that she had not recovered yet. After Honggu left, he didn't have many thoughts, and he was even less interested because he was busy with state affairs. Yes, Your Majesty. Wu Sun hurried to make arrangements. When Li Wuyu learned that Li Yuan was coming tonight, he specially washed and dressed up. The Wuyu palace was decorated with lights and colors, and Li Wuyu controlled every detail. Even the air is filled with a faint floral scent. Your Majesty, His Majesty is here, the maid reminded. Li Wuyu hurried out to greet him. Your Majesty, you are finally here, I thought you would not come tonight. Sorry to have kept you waiting, Li Yuan smiled. As long as Your Majesty can come, I am willing to wait no matter how long it takes. She hugged Li Yuan. Have you been exercising recently? Li Yuan asked in surprise. Li Wuyu lowered his head shyly. I have trained my muscles according to the method Your Majesty said, but I don't know if Your Majesty likes it. Since Li Yuan liked it, Li Wuyu tried to find ways to practice it. Seeing Li Yuan's surprised expression, she was also very happy. Very good, unexpectedly good. Li Yuan said. After entering the room, he did not rush, but took a bath first, with Li Wuyu serving him personally. Your Majesty, let me make you some tea. Li Wuyu knelt there wrapped in a bathrobe. Li Wuyu poured a cup of tea, blew it cool carefully, and brought it to Li Yuan's mouth. Li Yuan pushed the teacup to her lips. Li Wuyu lowered his eyebrows and said, I have waited for this day for a long time. I just hope that Your Majesty will enjoy it, I will do anything. Li Yuan couldn't hold her back any longer and picked her up. By the time the feast was over, Li Wuyu's voice had become completely hoarse. Your Majesty, I'm so tired. Li Yuan let out a long breath, and the pressure of the past few days was swept away. The maid was cleaning carefully. At this time, Wu Bing came in with ginseng soup. When she saw the scene in front of her, her heartbeat suddenly accelerated. Chapter 308, Stop Sending Troops. She hurriedly placed the midnight snack on the table and said, Your Majesty, I will take my leave first. Wait, Li Yuan called Wu Bing and put on his bathrobe. Sit down and eat together. Oh, Wu Bing looked at Li Yuan with pleading eyes. I still need to make records. In the day harem, the emperor's visits were recorded by both female officials and eunuchs to ensure the bloodline of the prince. Li Yuan sighed. Forget it, you go down first. Wu Bing fled from Wuyu Palace and then leaned against the pillar in the corridor, covering her heart. The scene in her mind lingering. Li Yuan brought the ginseng soup to the bedside. The maid, beside him, put away the white towel stained with red. Looking at Li Wuyu, who was still full of charm, she smiled and said, Drink some ginseng soup to replenish your vitality. Li Wuyu had no strength left, and said in a cat-like voice, No strength left. Li Yuan possessed her and picked her up, then fed her soup. As she transformed from a girl into a woman, Li Wuyu became even more charming. Thank you, Your Majesty. Li Wuyu hugged Li Yuan, his eyes showing even more dependence, and he was as obedient as a cat. From now on, you will be in charge of the area west of the East Palace. Without a queen, the harem always needs someone to manage it. All Li Yuan could think of was to divide the harem into 4 areas, which would be managed by 4 concubines respectively. As for the future study and assessment of the female officials, Li Yuan will personally take care of it in this way. The female officials in the harem will have a certain degree of competitiveness. I only want to serve your majesty, exercise and make your majesty happy. Li Wuyu's innocent eyes made Li Yuan angry again. Just concentrate on being a canary? Isn't it good to be his majesty's little pet? Li Wuyu asked back. Okay. Li Yuan loved Li Wuyu's expression, but considering what happened just now, he resisted the urge and said, managing the South District is a mission. And we must do it well, do you understand? Oh, I will do whatever your majesty tells me to do. Li Wuyu said obediently. Li Yuan felt it again and quickly let go of Li Wuyu. Go to bed early. But just as I let go, the woman came back again. The next day, Li Yuan was still asleep when a woman woke him up. Li Yuan was a little confused and said, Duan, what's the matter so early? A has a 9 to 6 work schedule. And there is no morning meeting today, so Li Yuan can sleep in a little. Duan is Li Su's assistant and the adjutant of the Special Forces Battalion. Li Yuan trusts her more. This woman has an average appearance, but an extremely hot body. She has blonde hair and blue eyes, a typical Western appearance. She seems carefree in daily life, but she is very meticulous in her thinking. After Li Su left, Duan took over her job. However, he did not have to guard Li Yuan every day, nor did he have to stand guard at night. He only passed on information. Duan knelt beside the bed and was secretly shocked when she saw Li Yuan's strong upper body. Then she whispered, Your Majesty, Emperor Dajing is asking for help. Your prediction many years ago has come true. The nomadic people who roam the Western Yi have sent troops to invade the Middle Earth. Li Yuan suddenly lost all sleepiness. He sat up and lifted the blanket that had slipped off to cover Li Wuyu's perfect figure. He went straight to the tub, took a cold shower, and changed into regular clothes. After taking Blind Chen's Dragon Tiger Golden Pill, Li Yuan felt refreshed even after a night of fierce fighting. After opening the letter, Li Yuan read it carefully, his expression becoming stern. A real disaster is coming. Pass on my order to suspend sending troops to Dajing. Present all the intelligence about the Huns in recent years. Wu Sun, call the people from the Honglu Temple and the military department over here, quickly. Li Yuan walked with the gait of a dragon and a tiger and came to Yongping Palace. He ate breakfast while checking the intelligence of previous years. But first time he learned about the Huns was from news brought by traveling merchants from outside. At that time, he only knew that a nomadic people had risen on the grassland. In just a few years, this nomadic people fought their way from the northern desert to the western Yi and established the Xiongnu Empire. Half a year ago, he learned that the Xiongnu Empire was at war with the Agub Empire, one of the most powerful empires in the western Yi. It took only a year and a half to swallow up half of the Agub Empire. In other words, the Xiongnu Empire at that time was almost larger than to Middle Earth. There were more than 4 million soldiers and soldiers. According to the analysis of the intelligence department, the Xiongnu Empire, where every clan member was a soldier, had an actual military strength of about 5 million. Moreover, 90 of them are cavalry. What made Li Yuan concerned was that the Xiongnu Emperor was young and vigorous, not even 30 years old. They have many offspring, unlike other nomadic peoples who do not engage in production. The Xiongnu borrowed the dynasty system of China and divided the ethnic groups in the country into 4 categories: scholars, farmers, merchants and artisans. On this basis, the ruling status of the aristocracy was guaranteed. In other words, they know how to farm and produce. A nomadic people who know how to farm and develop is terrifying. 5 million troops. This is just the superficial number. Soon, people from the military and the Honglu Temple arrived. Each of them received a piece of intelligence about the Huns. After watching it, everyone looked solemn. Your Majesty, the Huns will definitely be a powerful enemy of Day in the future, and we must guard against them, said Wang Dadiao. Du Chun, the minister of the Honglu Temple, also bowed and said, once the Xiongnu completely swallow up the Agub Empire, the army will definitely move south, so we must make plans early. Du Chun is the eldest disciple of Blind Chen, and has made great efforts in setting up an intelligence agency for Day over the years. Li Yuan nodded and said, in the past, there were also the Tianifo Kingdom and the Dayu Ezhi Empire, but they could only resist for a while at most. The Xiongnu have become powerful, so I have decided to stop sending troops to other countries to garrison them. They only has 2 armies. Including the navy, which was not fully recruited, there are only about 250,000 to 260,000 people. Half of them are new recruits, and training takes a lot of time. The weapons of the entire army have not been replaced in time. It is easy to defeat the 3 kingdoms because they were corrupt. The Huns were different. They were good at killing neutral countries. Neither their combat power nor their fighting will could be compared to the 3 kingdoms. If the troops are dispersed, it will be a huge challenge for logistics. It is impossible for Li Yuan to put the safety of the country behind. However, we can't just let Dajing be bullied. We should sell all the obsolete weapons stored in the warehouse to Dajing. If they can't defeat the Huns, we can just let them destroy their country, Li Yuan said. In addition, Day entered a wartime state and issued warnings to various countries, alerting them to the invasion of the Xiongnu. After everyone left, Li Yuan looked at the Wu Sun who were kneeling on the side and said, "The barbarians are also a branch of the Huang tribe, and the Xiongnu are the main branch of the Huang tribe. I am very curious. These people traveled thousands of miles to Middle-earth, didn't they consider logistics?" Chapter 309. I use heavy machine gun. Wu Sun's forehead was covered with sweat. "I don't know. In fact, the cavalry burned, killed and looted along the way, so there would be no pressure on logistics. But they were too blind. On one hand, they are still fighting with the Agu Bo Empire, and on the other hand, they are sending troops to cause trouble in Middle-earth. Where do they get their confidence from?" Hearing this, Wu Sun lowered his head almost into his crotch. He realized that the man in front of him seemed to have noticed something. But can he say it? Li Yuan retracted his gaze. "It's a good thing they came. The palace is still short of eunuchs. We can capture more when the time comes. I am now a dog in front of your majesty. I only know Day, not the Huang clan. I only hope that Day will last forever, and it would be best if it could easily destroy the royal family and dominate the world." Li Yuan smiled helplessly and stopped testing Wu Sun, and then went to Day Heavy Industry. At this time, Day Heavy Industry expanded again and added Plant No. 4 and Plant No. 5, and established Day Shipbuilding. The inland navy was taken over by Chen Yuan, while Han went to the East China Sea to set up a port and build a real navy. The technology to produce giant steel ships is not up to par yet, but it is still possible to produce treasure ships weighing 3 to 5,000 tons. At this time last year, Aishan and Song's Han were already planned for construction. As of this year, it is almost completed. It will be ready for acceptance by the end of the year at the latest. At that time, Day will have his own giant ship. What, 1,500 or 2,000? They are all little brothers in front of the treasure ship. "Your Majesty, your humble servant is here to pay his respects." When Niu Taishu learned that Li Yuan was coming, he put down his work and hurried over. No need to be polite. Imo held his hand lightly, and without further ado, he asked, "Bao Niu, I want to ask you, how is the heavy machine gun that I asked you to develop?" "Your Majesty, you came at the right time with the drawings you left behind. It is not difficult to build a heavy machine gun," and Niu Taishu smiled. After successively breaking through the technologies of forging machines and automatic rifles, it was not a difficult task to build a heavy machine gun that could fire continuously. Moreover, Li Yuan also left behind a blueprint. Although the internal structure was not detailed, there were many weapon masters in the arsenal, and they worked hard for half a month to draw the blueprint. In the first month, a sample was handmade. "So, the heavy machine gun has been invented?" "Yes. This doesn't require much technical skills for us," and Niu Taishu said confidently. "Please move to the shooting range." Soon, Li Yuan arrived at the shooting range, where a large number of firearms were tested every day. In order to stimulate the creative enthusiasm within the arsenal, Li Yuan also set a rule that whoever can make new firearms or artillery can be upgraded by at least one level once it is approved for use. And in the arsenal, there are many crouching tigers. There are more than 2 Ziyu Shu Chang of the 10th level and 3 Ziyu Zheng of the 12th level. These people also have a professional title, 8th level fitter. It is no exaggeration to say that these people are the standard. When Li Yuan saw the heavy machine gun mounted on 2 wheels, his heart beat faster, as if he had seen a peerless beauty. It also has a name, Maxim Heavy Machine Gun. Day has pistols, semi-automatic rifles, sniper rifles, and submachine guns, but he doesn't have fully automatic machine guns. Machine guns are divided into light machine guns and heavy machine guns for Li Yuan. Light machine guns are not practical, not to mention the weight. The magazine only holds 20 to 30 bullets in terms of human wave tactics. Although the lethality of the submachine gun is not as good as that of the machine gun, it has the advantage of fast striking depth and enough bullets. Besides, this isn't a modern battle where both sides have guns. But heavy machine guns are different. Since the advent of Maxim, nomadic people have become more peace-loving and more fond of singing and dancing. He walked forward and touched the gun. "Is this the only one?" "Your Majesty, this is the final version. We started developing it last year and put it into production this year, consuming a total of 600,000 rounds of ammunition. 7 level 8 engineers worked hard to finalize the internal details." And Niu Taishu sighed, because he also poured a lot of effort into this gun. Li Yuan nodded and took the data handed over by Niu Taishu. The caliber is 11.43 m. The gun weighs 29 kg, and it adopts a short recoil 19 automatic mode in a water-cooled barrel. It uses a 6.4-meter-long canvas belt with a capacity of 333 rounds for ammunition supply. The ammunition belt can be connected with a theoretical firing rate of 600 rounds per minute, and it can fire single or continuous shots. It can also be adjusted to a slow firing rate of 100 rounds per minute through the firing rate regulator. The gun's automatic action is accomplished using the energy of gunpowder gas. At the moment the bullet is fired, the bolt and the barrel engage, and after they recoil 19 together, the barrel stops and is unlocked by the toggle mechanism at the same time. The bolt continues to recoil, and part of the barrel's energy is transferred to the machine gun through the acceleration mechanism, allowing it to complete the extraction and ejection of the shell, thereby driving the feeding mechanism, cocking the firing mechanism, compressing the return spring, and hitting the buffer. Then it returns to the chamber under the action of the spring force, pushes the second bullet into the chamber, locks the gun, and fires again. It is no exaggeration to say that with this Maxim, the manufacture of light machine guns becomes a piece of cake. The Maxim is the best weapon to deal with cavalry. No matter how heavy the cavalry is or how much cluster attack you use, they will all be killed. With an effective range of nearly 2,000 meters, it is the best among all. If we have 100 of them, even if 1,000,000 cavalrymen are mobilized in full force, they will kneel down and call us daddy. Li Yuan put on protective clothing, put on goggles, and then pulled the trigger. Da-da-da. At that moment, the belt was pulled in quickly and bullets fell to the ground. The target 100 meters ahead was torn into pieces. After firing a whole belt of ammunition, Li Yuan was very happy. Submit the list of people who participated in the research and development. I will reward you handsomely. Niu Taishu nodded. Your Majesty. This machine gun has no name yet, please give it a name. Li Yuan glanced at Niu Taishu and said, you are in charge of this project. So let's call it NIU's heavy machine gun. Niu Taishu was shaking with excitement. Your Majesty. You can't. If I say it's good, then it's good. Li Yuan was in a good mood and patted him on the shoulder. Of course, this reward is not so easy to get, it still needs to be inspected on the battlefield. If it's not good, the soldiers will curse. Niu Taishu patted his chest and said, please rest assured, Your Majesty. The quality will definitely be no problem. We also need to keep up with the quantity at present. The production of submachine guns, various rifles, and pistols can be slowed down a bit, and let the 4th and 5th factories produce them. One factory is fully devoted to the manufacture of Maxim rifles, and it won't be long before another war breaks out. Heavy industry is under great pressure, and will have to undertake more weapons manufacturing and weapons research and development in the future, Li Yuan said. Niu Taishu frowned and cursed. That country has betrayed us again, damn it. These bastards, are they really not afraid of death? This time it has nothing to do with the Three Kingdoms. Li Yuan waved his hand, and did not stay in Factory 1 for long. He went to strengthen Li Dialong without stopping. Following the 75 love, Li Dialong gave Li Yuan another surprise. Chapter 310, Shao Jianjia's Collapse. This is 105 of love. Li Yuan couldn't help but feel happy looking at the 105 howitzer in front of him. His heart trembled violently. Dialong, when was this howitzer made? Your Majesty, it was freshly produced a few days ago. And we fired hundreds of shells so far, no problems have been found. Li Dialong explained. Forging is not a problem, but parts production is a problem. In order to facilitate assembly, the design team transferred some parts of the 75 and 75 howitzer to the 105 howitzer. The maximum range measured so far is 20 miles. It has great destructive power, but it is too heavy and requires 2 oxen or 3 horses to pull it. Unfortunately, an internal combustion engine has not yet been built. Mei had a steam engine, and in the second year after he took over Biayang, he had someone develop it. After 2 years of development, it was finally developed. However, it has always been a secret among secrets and is used in major factories. Don't worry, the internal combustion engine will be developed sooner or later. Li Yuan had accepted several talented disciples in his early years, and most of these disciples were engaged in scientific research. For example, the internal combustion engine project was led by a disciple of Li Yuan named Zhu Jing. This land is so huge that it would take 3 or 4 months to travel from the north to the south of Middle-earth. Even if you travel non-stop, only modern means of transportation can shorten the time. Let's start mass production as soon as possible, but still focus on the 75 howitzer, Li Yuan said. The 75 howitzer is light, easy to carry and suitable for field combat. The 105 howitzer weighs more than 2,000 kilograms, so it is impossible to move it over mountains and across rivers. It is definitely a powerful weapon for fighting in plains or attacking cities. Yes, Your Majesty. In addition, field mortars are also of utmost importance, and the entire army must be equipped with them. Currently, we do not have enough mortars for the entire army to use. The navy also needs to make cannons. So the pressure on the second factory is very high. If it really doesn't work, the pressure will be shared with other factories, Li Yuan said. Factory No. 2 is confident that it can complete the task. Li Dialong did not respond. The research results of the factory are their lifeblood. If he gave them to other factories, the people in the factory would scold him to death. Even if a factory needs equipment, it has to spend money to buy it. Of course, it's not to guard against others, but Li Yuan set the rules at the beginning. Facilitates internal competition. If technology is shared casually, they will not work hard on research and development. Therefore, all major companies strictly guard their core technologies, and even their own people cannot obtain them. Under this system, everyone is actually aroused to be ruthless. Li Yuan didn't say anything. He hurriedly left Factory 2 and went to Factory 3, Factory 4, and Factory 5. The third factory not only ensures ammunition, but also develops ammunition of various calibers, such as white phosphorus bombs and thermite bombs, which are the core technologies of the third factory. The fourth and fifth factories are the newbies and have to curry favor with the three big brothers in order to snatch some leftovers from them. At this time, inside the military hospital, Xiao Ji and Jia looked at Xiao Hong coldly. "I've made it very clear. Don't come to me again." Xiao Hong smiled bitterly and said, "Ji and Jia, don't get excited. You should also know that Xiao Yu entered the palace and His Majesty made her Xiao Yi. I think you two can join forces." "Is this her idea or yours?" Xiao Ji and Jia sneered. "Your hands are quite long, aren't you afraid of being discovered? From what I know about him, if you do something behind his back, you will die miserably. We are not trying to restore our country, nor are we trying to betray. We are just thinking about how to serve that person well and how to die miserably." "Do you think I will believe it?" Xiao Ji and Jia said coldly. "I tell you, Li Yuan is not the kind of person who is blinded by lust. The beauty trap will not work on him. I'm just curious, when did you care about him so much? It has nothing to do with you. I advise you not to come to me in the future if you are discovered. No one can save you," Xiao Ji and Jia said. "Understood." Xiao Hong stood up. "By the way, someone wants to see you." "I don't see anyone." "That's not necessarily true." Xiao Hong took out a letter from his arms and placed it on the table, read it before making a decision. After Xiao Hong left, Xiao Ji and Jia picked up the letter on the table, opened it and started reading. The handwriting looked familiar, but the first sentence made her stunned. "Zhang Jia, my daughter." "Mother?" Xiao Ji and Jia held her forehead with her hand. Her thoughts were in a mess. She was surprised enough that Xiao Hong was not dead, but her mother was still alive. How is this possible? In the 13th year of the divine grant, which was the 13th year since his father ascended the throne, Xiao Ji and Jia was only 15 years old. After the queen mother passed away, the emperor was extremely sad. In the winter of the 13th year, the treacherous prime minister brought the enchantress Hu Yuan. Hu Yuan looked very much like the queen mother when she was young, which won the emperor's heart at one stroke, and started the era of the emperor's exclusive favor for the enchantress. In the 15th year of Shenshu, her father passed away. The treacherous prime minister and the evil concubine launched a rebellion, and Xiao Ji and Jia drifted to Biailiang. That year, she was 17 years old and met Lu Yuan in Biailiang. In the 8th year after her mother's death, someone suddenly wrote a letter in her mother's voice. Xiao Ji and Jia felt a splitting headache and even nausea, and couldn't help wanting to dry heave. She hurried to the bathroom and began to retch. She didn't feel happy. She just felt that she was surrounded by conspiracy. Everyone is plotting against her. Everyone is deceiving her and playing with her. He could understand why Xiao Hong faked his death to escape. But what about the Queen Mother? Why are you still alive? If she also faked her death to escape, then these people had set up a big plan 8 years ago, or even longer, to trap her. And she was like a fool, realizing it too late. Her stomach churned and she slumped to the ground with a dull look in her eyes. What is true, anyway? I thought I was given the task in a time of crisis. But in the end, it was all a plot. Why are you bullying me, a woman? Just because I'm easy to bully? You let them escape, but left me alone in the palace? Xiao Ji and Jia laughed at herself, and her vision blurred as she laughed. A whole person collapsed. She stumbled back to her seat and tore the letter into pieces. Disgusting. In the letter, the mother tried to comfort me and felt sorry for me, but so what? All the suffering is caused by them. She curled up in the chair, hugging herself tightly. What family? They're all fake. She thought of Li Yuan. At least Li Yuan was real. But she pushed Li Yuan away. The crying in the room startled the people outside. My lady, are you okay? Xiao Ji and Jia wiped her tears and said, oh, it's okay. However, the door was still open when the personal guard saw Xiao Ji and Jia's red eyes from crying. He immediately made a gesture and asked another person to notify the emperor. Are you sure you're okay? Well, it's okay. There's just dust in my eyes. I'll just rinse them with cold water. Xiao Ji and Jia was strong and calm, but the scattered paper scraps on the table and the floor betrayed her. Chapter 311. The Emperor Who Least Looks Like an Emperor. If the Queen Mother faked her own death, it was a plan. The treacherous Prime Minister's beauty trap was carried out with the knowledge of the Emperor. In other words, maybe it's not that my father is stupid? Is there something she doesn't know? Xiao Ji and Jia's hard take. She must meet her and ask her about this matter in person. but there are too many guards around her. And if you go to see her rashly, something will definitely go wrong. Just as Xiao Jianjia was thinking, the news reached Liu Yuan. I understand, go away. Liu Yuan waved his hand. Liu Yuan hadn't seen her since the nights before. She left the palace very early every day and returned before the palace was locked. The first thing she did after get off work was to accompany her children. There's nothing unusual. The people under her command are either tightening screws in factories or receiving training in the army. Xiao Puedao and others also signed up for the vocational technical examination at the end of the year, and there was not much contact between them. Qiao Ji is preparing for the teacher's certificate exam. As for Xiao Chai, Liu Yuan did not let him lead troops, but instead appointed him as the Minister of Rights. The majority of Day's people are still from Daqian, so he had carefully considered appointing Xiao Chai as the Minister of Rights. Let's go and inspect the military hospital. Liu Yuan changed his clothes and went to the military hospital. The hospital is very large and can accommodate 3,000 people at a time. It basically operates at full capacity during wartime. Such military hospitals have branches in Wuyu County, which can ensure the lives of soldiers to the greatest extent. In peacetime, this place can divert patients to regional hospitals. Although the medical technology of this era was backward, it was only technologically backward. Ma'afi San and surgical operations had actually existed for a long time. There's even a complete set of surgical instruments. Even Caesarean sections have precedence, but there are very few such talents. Liu Yuan did not think that he invented surgery, but he just made up for the shortcomings of traditional Chinese medicine in advance and trained a large number of people who were capable of performing surgical operations. Your Majesty, do you want to call the next eye over? Wu Sun asked in a low voice. No need. Liu Yuan shook his head and then wandered around the hospital. After a round of inspection, he had written down a lot of shortcomings. Medical supplies are still insufficient, antibiotics are still expensive, and needles are boiled in boiling water and reused repeatedly, which can easily lead to cross-infection. There are not enough wheelchairs. Outpatient services are still too complicated, and one-stop services are needed most. From a modern perspective, the hospital has many areas that need improvement, but from a contemporary perspective, it is already very good. After handing the notebook to Wu Sun, he came to a ward. In the ward, Xiao Jianjia, wearing a white coat, was examining a soldier with a stethoscope, followed by several recent graduates. Look carefully, changing the dressing must be done carefully. And the bandaging technique is also very important. Liu Yuan didn't disturb him either. After Xiao Jianjia finished the examination, she turned around and saw Liu Yuan at the door. She was inexplicably nervous, and then said calmly, "You guys come and exchange the remaining medicinal. Liu, you are doctors. You still have to learn the most basic things." As she said this, she walked out of the ward. When did you come? I just happened to come here for inspection. Liu Yuan smiled. It's noon, and I haven't eaten yet. There's a cafeteria in the hospital. I'll go cook 2 dishes for you. No need, just ask someone to prepare the food. Liu Yuan shook his head. Are you done with your work? Why don't you invite me to your office for a visit? Here. This way. Xiao Jianjia seemed very reserved and made a gesture of invitation. Because Liu Yuan was wearing large sunglasses and had changed his clothes, it was difficult for non-acquaintances to recognize him. People around him looked at him curiously and kept sizing him up. Dr. Xiao, is this your partner? Oh, Dr. Xiao, you are willing to bring your husband to the hospital. In the corridor, they met many hospitalized soldiers, and they all teased Xiao Jianjia. Xiao Jianjia said somewhat awkwardly, yes, this is my boyfriend. Brother, you are so lucky to marry a wife like Dr. Xiao. The soldier gave a thumbs up, his face full of envy. Liu Yuan smiled and handed over a cigarette. Xiao Jianjia glared and said, "This is a hospital, no smoking allowed." The soldier withdrew his hand in dismay. Sorry. Dr. Xiao won't allow it. Liu Yuan was not angry either. He looked at Xiao Jianjia and said, "You have a lot of prestige in the hospital. I'm a doctor. I'm doing this for their own good, so of course they have to listen to me." Xiao Jianjia didn't study medicine for a long time, but she loved to study and was willing to work hard in addition. As she treated more patients, she accumulated experience quickly and her prestige naturally increased. "Brother, let's smoke again next time," Liu Yuan said to the man. Xiao Jianjia couldn't help but whispered, "You really are humble. I am where I am today because of their hard work. Why should I put on airs? You are the person who looks the least like an emperor and the most like an emperor that I have ever seen." "What do you mean? They say you don't look like an emperor, but there are so many people who are devoted to you and love you from the bottom of their hearts. You are like an emperor. You can bend down and mingle with them. You can roll up your trouser legs and go to the fields to farm with the farmers." He was extremely kind to the people and wanted to give them the best. But to the enemy, he is cruel and cold, showing no mercy at all. The emperors and nobles I saw were completely different from you. Those people know how to enjoy themselves. But you are different. I'll take that as a compliment. When they arrived at the office, Xiao Jianjia made him a cup of tea. It's not a good tea, don't despise it. To me, all tea tastes the same. Li Yuan took the teacup and started chatting with Xiao Jianjia, but there was no it for it like in the past few days. No one mentioned what happened before. Duan brought the food. And Wu Sun put it on the table only after he had tasted it. 4 dishes and 1 soup, to meat and to vegetable. It's not that delicious. But Li Yuan ate it with gusto. Xiao Jianjia took a few bites and asked, is it really that delicious? It has both meat and vegetables. And plenty of oil and water, so why shouldn't it be delicious? Li Yuan asked, do you have to have delicacies from the mountains and the sea? Xiao Jianjia said, I understand a little bit now, what makes you different from others? Li Yuan finished his meal in no time. Harped contentedly, picked up a toothpick and said, you think that being an emperor should have a perfect image, but in my eyes, although the emperor is powerful, he is essentially immortal. As a human being, you should be down to earth. If you refer to the image of emperors described by sages in books, you will most likely not be able to be a good emperor. No one taught me these, Xiao Jianjia sighed. With a hint of grievance unconsciously in her tone. Think it through carefully. Has no one taught you? Lu Yuan said. Someone taught me, but I didn't understand it before. Xiao Jianjia looked at Lu Yuan, not knowing where she got the courage from. And said word by word, if it happens again, I will never make the same mistake again. Chapter 312 Lu Yuan's misunderstanding. But Lu Yuan thought that Xiao Jianjia was unwilling to accept this. Even if it happens again, the result will not change, Lu Yuan said calmly, of course. If you feel that you have been wronged in the hospital, I can let you go, and even let those people under you go with you. Xiao Jianjia frowned. Is that how you think of me? Didn't you say that if I give you another chance, you will definitely not make the same mistake again? Lu Yuan walked to the window and took out a cigarette. Did I think wrongly? No. For me, the past is over. It is you who reminds me all the time. What exactly do you want me to do? What will satisfy you? Xiao Jianjia took a deep breath and said, of course, the past is the past. But can some things really be forgotten? Li Yuan just thought it was funny. He shouldn't have come here today. The maid said you were crying in the hospital. So I came here. I thought you were not used to the life here after all. You are the empress. And it is really a waste of your talent to work here as a great doctor under an assumed name. I wanted to come and comfort you. Now it seems that even if I talk till my lips are hoarse, it's useless. Since you don't like the hospital, you don't have to come starting tomorrow there. No need to force yourself. Are you here just to comfort me? Xiao Jianjia was not angry, but grasped the key point of Lu Yuan's words. That's not important. Of course it's important. Xiao Jianjia stood up, walked in front of Lu Yuan, and looked at him intently. You didn't come here to inspect at all. You came here specifically to care about me, right? Don't think you are so important. Lu Yuan exhaled a of smoke. You are lying. You came here specially to see me. Xiao Jianjia was actually secretly delighted. She had been feeling very depressed these days. And a letter this morning had plunged her into an endless conspiracy again. But these distresses are not because she is not satisfied with her current life. Xiao Jianjia, just like I said, you are too self-righteous. Lu Yuan flicked off the ash from his cigarette. You are Huan's mother. If anything happens, I, as a father, must be the first to know if something happens in the future. I will have an explanation for the child when he asks about it. I'm very busy every day. If you have nothing to do, please don't do too much trouble. I really don't want to spend too much time on you. Just like you said, having a child between you and me was just a mistake, and it won't have any good results. So, just maintain the superficial respect for each other, that's all. Xiao Jianjia's pretty face turned pale instantly. The secret joy at that moment turned into pain at this moment. Lu Yuan's words were like a blunt knife, cutting her heart. She lowered her head and laughed at herself. Yes, just treat each other with respect. Since we treat each other with respect, there should also be normal communication between husband and wife, right? You said that it's best to be together when you're with your children. So next, I will try to be a good mother. A good wife who can support her husband and raise her children and treat her with respect. Lu Yuan raised his eyebrows. That couldn't be better. He put out his cigarette and walked to the door. By the way, let me remind you one last thing, Don. Do things you shouldn't do outside, otherwise it will be difficult for me and you too. My patience is limited. If someone does something ugly, I will show no mercy. You are on your own. These heartless and cold words hurt Xiao Jianjia. Don't worry, I want my reputation. If it's not mine, I won't take it. It couldn't be better. Looking at Lu Yuan's resolute back, Xiao Jianjia sat on the ground weakly. In fact, if she had explained it carefully, perhaps Lu Yuan would not have misunderstood her. She could actually feel Lu Yuan's concern. But those words were so hurtful. It turns out that I am so unbearable in his heart. When trust is gone, saying anything more is a mistake. Xiao Jianjia stared at the ceiling blankly for a long time before getting up from the ground. She lost this trust herself. The original Lu Yuan was not like this. She was the one who lost Lu Yuan. Huan, it's not a mistake between you and me. Even if it means bitter consequences, we must have a final result. Xiao Jianjia wiped her tears and made up her mind that if the final result was bitter, then her lower body would live for Huan. She realized that from the very beginning, a huge web of conspiracy had enveloped her. But now, she is helpless. Apart from these patients, she can't even reach out to more people. I want to find out the truth. Xiao Jianjia changed her previous decadent appearance and accepted both the good and the bad. At this time, in Bma province of Diaxia, this is already Day's territory. As Diaxia surrendered and became a vassal, in addition to the territory conquered by Day, Diaxia also ceded a large amount of land. However, the people on the land did not move to the heartland of Diaxia. Firstly, the imperial court was overwhelmed, and the disaster became increasingly serious. The Ma prefecture was severely hit by the disaster, and even having food became a problem, let alone migration. Secondly, Diaxia's conscription had caused the male population in more than a dozen prefectures near Bma prefecture to decline, and almost every household hung white sails. Coupled with Day's deterrent power, no one dared to move. For ordinary people, as long as they have enough food to eat and land to farm, it doesn't matter who is the emperor. Of course, hatred among the people is still going on, and the families who died in the war are hostile today in their hearts. But they resented the Great Hexiac court's forced conscription even more. Therefore, this results in these people being unwilling to integrate into the Day system and also not being recognized by Diaxia. In Diaxia's eyes, they are a burden. However, Day did not give up on them. First, they were exempted from taxes and corvée labor for 5 years. Second, granaries were opened to stabilize local grain prices. Day officials traveled hundreds of miles to stabilize the area, and the army also patrolled here day and night. At one point, public security was so bad that people could leave their doors unlocked at night. In addition, a large number of large leaf products have entered thousands of households, bringing them convenience. So in just over a month, the people's resistance to Day was reduced to the lowest level. At the very least, Day treated them as human beings. And that's not all. Day reserved the land, divided the mountains, fields, springs and forests according to population, and implemented a new rural system that is most beneficial to the people at the bottom. Village officials teach science in the countryside every day. However, this move was strongly opposed by local elders, landlords, powerful people, and even aristocratic families. But after the Day army took over and cleared out some people, the voices of opposition suddenly disappeared without a trace. But that doesn't mean these people admit it. Dozens of representatives from aristocratic families gathered together. These people were from the strongest clans in each state and owned more than half of the local farmland. To take their land was to take their lives. And they will fight hard. Chapter 313. Bao Yi is more ferocious than a tiger. Daya abolished the county system and adopted a provincial system, dividing the state capital into multiple cities, districts, counties and towns. This is undoubtedly aimed at us, said Yang of Hongshu. A has also established many public schools, where students can study without paying tuition fees, promoting Day's way of kingship and hegemony, disrespecting the way of the saints, and doing the opposite, the leader of the Ma family in Yuanshu said angrily. In this chaotic world, the teachings of the saints have been lost, and evil spirits are rampant. We are well-read and ambitious people, and we should cleanse the world and restore justice to the people of the world. Everyone nodded after hearing this. Da Yi, you don't rule the world together with the noble families, but put the cart before the horse and get along with those peasants. This is one of the great sins. You should rebel, the leader of the Cui family in Kingshu said coldly. From ancient times to the present, the world has always been ruled together with the noble families, but Liyuan doesn't follow the trend and doesn't respect the laws of nature. This sentence completely ignited everyone, and they gnashed their teeth in anger. Until the leader of the Rong Shulu family said, they also want to seize our land, cut off our roots, destroy our teachings, sew up our mouths, and make us unable to go up to the sky and enter the earth. Tell me, should we resist? Should. Everyone says Lu Yuan is a saintly king, but in my eyes, he is a tyrant. A tyranny of the tyrant. He is more ferocious than a tiger, and he must be punished. In the secret room below, a dozen or so people in charge were filled with righteous indignation, and they listed the crimes committed by Bao Yi one by one. Half an hour later, the leader of the Lu family actually listed more than 300 tyrannies of Day. Everyone, Day is unjust and militaristic. Li Yuan was brutal and bloodthirsty by nature. He provoked a great war in Middle-earth, causing great suffering to the people and the deaths of countless civilians. We should fight against injustice on behalf of God. However, all the people who had just been clamoring to destroy Day had stopped fighting. Everyone looked embarrassed, either smoking or stroking their beards, and no one dared to respond. Liu Yang frowned. Everyone, please say something. This matter must be resolved. The land in front of Biame State was forcibly measured. And it will be our turn soon. And after being measured, it was all divided among those peasants. The slaves in the house were also dismissed. And it was not allowed to keep slaves or own land. Under the new rural system, land will be collectively owned in the future. It seemed that the land was distributed to the peasants. But in fact, it belonged to the imperial court. It's ridiculous that those peasants are still complacent. They are confused. And we cannot follow them. The imperial court also forbids us to study, saying that we need a qualification certificate, otherwise it would be setting up a private school, which is illegal. Without land and slaves, even the family's knowledge accumulated over hundreds or thousands of years could not be sold. What do we have left? Master Lu, it's not that we don't want to fight, we just don't have the energy to do so, Cui Yumo said helplessly. Dai's strength is beyond words. The coalition of 3 countries has 3 million troops. Even though they had more than 1 million cavalrymen, they still had no way to deal with Dai. Otherwise, how could Diaxia lose Biameshu, and how could we have fallen to this point? Even if we risk the lives of our entire clan, how many Yi soldiers can we kill? Master Cui is right, we cannot act trashily on this matter, we need to be strategic. Ma Ding stroked his beard and said, it would be better to secretly incite those fools and let them resist. As long as we exert a little effort, they will be unable to move forward. But it be that they are going to kill innocent civilians indiscriminately? A wants to save face. If Lu Yuan, who talks about morality and justice, attacks these fools, who will believe him in the future? Brother Ma, what you said makes sense. Yang Min's I said, in the late period of Dai, they killed prisoners indiscriminately and left no one alive. How many people hated them? As long as we provoke them a little, it will be a situation of life and death. We can sit back and reap the benefits, and let Dai know that they can't do without us. Liu Yang smiled awkwardly. In fact, he knew that attacking Bao Yi was just empty talk. These 300 violent leaves can be spread out. It won't be long before they spread all over the world. Let Dai have a taste of what it means to have a fire in the backyard. Soon, the news of these 300 violent leaves spread throughout Biame State. There was no attempt to appease the people's emotions, and at this moment the hostility was clearly at its peak. They resisted Dai's provincial system and even public schools. The move of dividing the land by Dai was described as bribery. Driven by some people with ulterior motives, riots of varying degrees broke out in various state capitals of Whitehorse State. 3 days later, Li Yuan received news from the local authorities and looked unhappy. These days, he has invested a lot of manpower and material resources in various places, but the results are mediocre. Dakian only sent soldiers to guard half of the northern part, and there are still not enough officials to govern the place. Even students who have not yet graduated are pulled to local grassroots organizations to serve as village officials in the name of internship. Li Yuan went there with great sincerity. Exempt from taxes and co-RV labor, distribute land and forests, stabilize local grain prices, and dump large quantities of large leaf manufactured goods at cost price. Not for the purpose of making money, but just to maintain costs and let these suffering people use good things. What can you get in return? There are 300 violent leaves. It was Liu Yuan, the emperor of Dai, who failed in his duty and behaved immorally. It was the local village official who was brutally killed by these villagers. 16 village officials died in 3 days. There was one man who was even buried in the ground with his head exposed, and all the villagers stoned him to death. When the army rushed to rescue him, the young village official had been unrecognizable and his head had collapsed. That was still a child who had not yet reached adulthood. How will Li Yuan explain to their parents? And these 300 were like a joke. Slapping him in the face. Bao Yi, tyranny, screw you. Liu Yuan was furious. He wanted to send troops to attack these places immediately. But reason told him that if he did so, he would fall into those people's conspiracy. These 300 are either from external forces or from local aristocratic families. Because land measurement, the provincial system, nationalization of land, and the new rural plan are like the knives that cut down the aristocratic families. Of course they will resist. Have all the children who died been sent back? Li Yuan asked in a hoarse voice. Your Majesty, they have all been sent back. Their souls are resting in the martyr's shrine, Du Wan said. Call all officials above the level of vice minister over here. I'll be waiting for them over there. Li Yuan took a deep breath and rushed to the martyr's shrine as soon as possible. The atmosphere in the Dai martyr's shrine was very solemn and dignified. And 16 coffins were placed in the hall. These young village officials are the rising sun of Dai and the backbone of Dai in the future. And now, they have all sacrificed their lives in places where they should not have sacrificed. Li Yuan didn't say anything, just knelt on the mat. Soon, the officials arrived. Seeing Li Yuan kneeling there, they were terrified and knelt down one after another. Chapter 314 Xiaoqi offers advice. Your Majesty, I kowtow to you. Officials headed by Cao Wei and Hu knelt down one after another, and all the bigwigs from the 6 ministries who were supposed to come came. Including the military, all officials above the rank of brigade commander were present. They knelt behind Lu Yuan, not daring to say a word. Lu Yuan stood up, burned incense for them, and then looked at the people behind him. This is the greatest humiliation and harm that Dai has suffered since its founding. The implementation of the new law required a strong combination of civil and military forces, but why did something like this happen next? Is it because the officials were not adequately trained, or because the military patrols were not in place, that they ignored the court's laws? Have all the spies from Dai become blind and deaf? Li Yuan threw 300 violent leaves in front of everyone. Cao Wei and Hu picked up the paper on the ground and read it with trepidation. It would have been fine if he hadn't read it, but once he read it, he felt something was wrong. He passed these 300 articles around, and everyone was furious after reading them. Wang Dabiao's face turned redder. Fuck the 300 violent laws. Which of these new laws is not for peasants like us? Relying on the education of aristocratic families, their descendants will never be able to succeed in their entire lives. We exempted them from co-RV and great axes, and gave them forests and land. What else do they want? Human greed is like a snake swallowing an elephant. Your Majesty, I am willing to lead the troops to garrison Biameshu and suppress these mobs, said Ji Yermao. No, Xiaoyuan said in a deep voice. How can these people understand this? They can't even read a few characters. How can they write 300 articles in this long article of several thousand words? It must be the local aristocratic families who are behind this and fanning the flames. May's laws and strategies are most unfavorable to them, so they will naturally not sit idly by and wait for death. In my humble opinion, we should first capture the leader of the gang, mark all the powerful families in various places and catch them all in one fell swoop. As soon as this was said, many people echoed. Blood debts must be paid with blood. Li Yuan looked at these people and felt a little disappointed. They had talented people, but no outstanding ones. The premise for the killing is that these people belong to Dai. They don't recognize you, and killing these people is tyranny. Li Yuan naturally didn't care about these insults. But if they wanted political stability and social harmony, it had to absorb these territories and populations. Cao Wei and Hu said hurriedly, we must not kill them. These people were instigated. If we send troops to suppress them, we will inevitably encounter greater opposition. You can kill all the people in BMA state. And there are other states as well. Dai has added 5,000 miles of mountains, rivers and land. Do they all submit to Dai? Dai needs to develop, so it cannot fall into internal friction. Li Yuan raised his head. Do you have any solution? I think it is too hasty to fully promote the Dai system. If we advance slowly and steadily as before, such a situation would never happen in the local area. Cao Wei and Hu was under great pressure, but he still said, for the common people, they are confused and at a loss after joining Dai. At this time, we only need to exempt their great axes and co-RV, and everyone will be grateful to your Majesty. They can start by gradually improving the surrounding provincial capitals. If they see that everyone has land and forests, they will definitely be jealous. At that time, even if the court did not force them to measure the land, they would still ask the court to do so. Minister Cao is right, Zhu Ren said. Any one of the court's strategies is a great success. But when combined together, it will provoke a rebellion among the people. The people are blind, and they don't know how good we are in Dai. Even if we open our hearts to them, they may not appreciate it. Therefore, I think we should first make 3 rules of conduct with the local people. The simpler the better. After a year or so, when the people all over the world are reconciled, they will naturally understand the benefits of the imperial court. Li Yuan fell into deep thought. Has everything been too smooth for him along the way? To the point where you act roughly and act hastily? Your Majesty, I have a method that may be able to solve the current problem. Everyone looked in the direction of the sound and saw Xiaoqi, who was kneeling in the crowd, stand up. You say, if this plan is not passed on to Liuer, can you give me paper and pen? Xiaoqi said. Li Yuan made a gesture, and Wu Sun immediately understood and handed the paper and pen to Xiaoqi. Xiaoqi lay on the ground, trying to cover the words as much as possible. After a while, he folded the paper and placed it above his head. Your Majesty, please take a look. Wu Sun presented the paper, and after Li Yuan opened it, his brows immediately relaxed. Everyone was curious about what strategy Xiaoqi had come up with. Li Yuan calmly folded the paper again and said, Cao Wei and Hu, Xiaoyuan, Wang Debiao, Ji Irma, O Shangwei, Xiaoqi, Zhu Ren, Wang Ju, Pa Shan, Wang Zonghu, stay here. The rest of you wait outside. Those who were not named looked at each other, knowing that they were excluded, and left dejectedly. A was a newly established country, and its politics and factions were unclear. Many people are waiting and watching. There are some things that I dare not say easily. If the emperor is just one of the meritorious officials, then the future of everyone will be worrying. And among these people, there are both meritorious officials who followed the emperor and surrendered officials, which shows that the emperor is still very magnanimous. As everyone breathed a sigh of relief, they quickly retreated. There were 10 people in the hall, representing old civil and military officials, surrendered officials and officials from aristocratic families. This was also done deliberately by Lu Yuan. He realized that Dai was lacking in talent. Perhaps it was not that there were no talented people, but that these people did not dare to speak up. Xiao Chai only wrote a few words: recruit, win over, divide, suppress, and give them a taste of their own medicine. Just this one line of words made Lu Yuan's eyes light up. He has 5,000 years of accumulated experience, but wouldn't it be exhausting for him, as an emperor, to govern such a huge country? Zhang Zhen was very hardworking, but without anyone's help, what happened to him in the end? Ying Zheng was great enough once he died. The second generation of the Yi family was destroyed. So the team is very important. Dong Zhi, please tell me the plan in detail, Lu Yuan said. Yes, Your Majesty. Xiao Chai cupped his hands and said, Dai Yi is full of martial virtues and strong national power, needless to say. However, the nation was small, the military force was small, and there were only a few cities, so they were naturally able to manage them. You can also make a fist and hit wherever you point. But that is no longer the case with a territory of 8,000 miles. China is already a big country in terms of both territory and population. It won't work to use the same perspective and methods as those used to govern cities and prefectures. For ordinary people, having enough food and clothing is the most important thing, but more important is a sense of belonging. Whether it is Da Qian, Da Jing, or Diaxia, local governance has always relied on local gentry, powerful people, and aristocratic families. It is almost universally accepted that imperial power does not extend to the countryside. This leads to a habitual way of thinking among everyone. The imperial court relies on the local tyrants, and the local people also rely on the local tyrants. Most of the local people have the same surname. What is more terrifying than a clan is a lineage. Chapter 315, No Punishment or Reward. No Law. Li Yuan was also stunned. Xiao Chai's words reminded him. All along, he seemed to have ignored the power of the clan. Are there only elders in a village or a township who take advantage of their seniority? Is it only during the rice growing season that there are fights between villages over water? What is implied behind this is actually the clan. The elders of a clan often control the clan's right to speak. This is the most fundamental problem. He looked at Xiao Chai deeply. He was indeed the man who saved the country from collapse. Maybe he was not good at leading troops in battle, but you couldn't say he was a loser. Even when Da Qian was in such a state of collapse, he still managed to maintain the country's prosperity. If it weren't for his bad luck, he might have been able to revive Da Qian. The others also took a deep breath. Is this something that can be said? Who doesn't have a clan? Even if you are Lu Yuan, you still have to get to the bottom of it, right? In fact, everyone subconsciously ignores the clan, not because they don't understand, but because they dare not speak about it. When the knife cut, everyone was hit right between the eyebrows. Some people say that during this period, common people were not qualified to reproduce, but all the surnames that were able to reproduce were wealthy. This statement is actually not quite correct. Because of the clan members' mutual support, people can survive even in poverty. In ancient times, uprisings were often started by one clan or one surname. Li Yuan suddenly came to his senses and remembered what old Lu said. He smiled bitterly to himself. It turned out that when old Lu reminded him to relocate the entire Lu clan that night, he was actually reminding him. Unfortunately, he didn't understand it at the time. Go on. Li Yuan asked someone to bring a stool. Don't kneel anymore, stand up. Thank you, Your Majesty. Everyone rubbed their knees and then stood up and sat down. Xiao Chai added, clan, at present, is an unsolvable problem. Once it is touched, it will be a fight to the death. Before this, Dai was mostly made up of refugees. These people were displaced and had left their homes, so naturally they didn't care about these things. And as Dai's population grew, these people from the same region lived together. Gradually, it evolved into small clans and small villages. It is not obvious in the city, but Your Majesty knows that there is a connection between them. Because only in this way can we gather together for warmth. Even if you are doing business, you can avoid being bullied. At this point, Xiao Chai paused and said, aristocratic families are essentially powerful clans. But these clans have already passed their early stages. They have begun to tolerate other surnames, and through generations of education, they have gained prestige and status that ordinary people cannot possess. Rather than saying that they are a clan, it would be better to say that they are local tyrants and the local government, even local officials, cannot move forward without their support. This is a custom that has been established throughout the dynasties. It is not easy for Your Majesty to break it easily. The death of these 16 village officials is just the beginning. Therefore, I suggest that we first recruit them and win them over. And then use gentle means to paralyze them. Secretly divide and suppress them, causing internal conflicts. Measuring the land is good. But what if the land originally belonged to them? Li Yuan also sighed softly as expected. He had taken things for granted. For those who have no permanent property, dividing the land is naturally a good thing. But what if this land originally belonged to the local villagers? Are the people really willing to sell their land to the landlords? No, it's because they have no way to make a living, and only this way can they be guaranteed a way to make a living. Therefore, even if the court's policies are good, few people will appreciate them when they are implemented at the grassroots level. This land originally belongs to one clan and one family. How can they be grateful? The slaves who were freed might not have wanted to do so. They have never seen the sun, so when they stand naked in the sun, their first reaction is not gratitude, but fear. Xiao Chai's words made everyone present fall into deep thought. Cao Yanhu also acted as if he was meeting Xiao Chai for the first time, being able to say this. He was better than 99 of the officials in Day. These days, I have carefully read the strategies and regulations of Day. They are all good and are designed for the people. But some are too beautiful. It will take time to land. So after paralyzing and intensifying their internal conflicts, we will then use their own methods to retaliate against them. They can write 300 leaves of blast. Why can't we write the troubles of aristocratic families? The people are ignorant because they are illiterate, and do not know etiquette. They do not know what year it is or who the king is. But no one is born stupid. I think it would be a good idea to spend 3 to 5 years to lay a solid foundation before implementing reforms. Boil the frog in warm water and implement these regulations slowly. By the time the aristocratic families reacted, the knives were already at their necks. I'm sorry to make your majesty laugh at my humble opinion. Xiao Chai cupped his hands and then stopped talking. Li Yuan glanced at the others and asked, "What do you think?" Cao Yanhu was impressed and said, "Minister Xiao has a unique and insightful opinion. This method is feasible." Zhu Ren couldn't help but look at Xiao Qi a few more times, thinking, it's a good thing that the Zhu family had joined the game a long time ago. If they had just insisted on holding on, they would have died without knowing how. "May I ask your majesty, do you want to destroy the aristocratic family or the clan?" Wang Zhu asked with a bow. "Destroy the family, not the clan. If you destroy the clan, isn't that destroying yourself? The clan cannot be destroyed, and Li Yuan is not stupid enough to say something like destroying the clan." Wang Zhu breathed a sigh of relief. It would be fine to destroy the aristocratic family, but to destroy the clan would be like digging its own grave. "Your majesty is wise." Wang Zhu flattered him. "I also think Minister Xiao's words make sense." A crisis was averted. Cao Yanhu also secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He was really afraid that His Majesty would suddenly say something to exterminate the clan. Hei's bright future will inevitably be ruined by this sentence. Xia Yuan also said at this time, "Your Majesty, should the Ministry of Personnel send officials to appease the people? Should the mob that brutally killed these officials be let off? They take advantage of the fact that the law does not punish the masses and can kill innocent people at will. This is not acceptable. If this is the case, does rebellion also not count against the masses? They didn't kill ordinary people, but village officials. Even if they were just small officials, they represented the imperial court." Everyone looked at Li Yuan. Li Yuan asked again, "What good ideas do you have? If the emperor is asked to figure out everything, then what is the point of keeping these people?" Xiao Chai opened his mouth as if he wanted to speak. But in the end, no words came out. He has been eye-catching enough today among the ministers and military officers present. Each one is not of higher rank than him. It is not the right way for an official to steal their limelight. Of course, he just wanted to return the favor and repay Li Yuan for saving his life several times. "I don't care about being criticized. As long as Jian is in the emperor's heart, no one can touch him." At this time, Wang Zhu said, "If punishment and reward are not enforced, the law will have no power. If the rebellious people are not eliminated, the country will never have peace. I intend to deal with the criminals and rioters according to the law, no matter how many." Chapter 316. Chaolu Village. The Wang family is a famous legalist family, and most of its members are well versed in laws. Wang Zhu also became the minister of the Ministry of Justice because of his mastery of the law. Although he was laughed at by everyone at the enthronement ceremony, he didn't care. There will be exclusion everywhere, let alone the imperial court. "I am willing to lead people to capture these murderers and bring them to justice. Then we will publicly try them in Biame Prefecture and execute them on the spot to uphold the law," Wang Zhu said in a resounding voice. Everyone gasped. This was no small matter. "Do you know how many people there are? The main culprit and accomplices involve nearly 5,000 people." Li Yuan said, "I don't care how many people there are. I only know that they gathered together to kill officials, which is a serious crime of treason and violates the most untouchable national law of Day. If there is no severe punishment, how can we implement reforms in the future? How could these unruly people take Day's laws seriously? Day has always been a country governed by law. If we expose this matter today, there will be no talk of governing the country according to law in the future. If anyone was dissatisfied with something, they could just make some noise and kill a few officials, and the court would give in. In the future, everyone will imitate you, and the country will never have peace, Wang Ju said solemnly. Li Yuan raised an eyebrow and turned to look at the 16 coffins placed there. But, we need to give an explanation to these 16 sacrificed children. As he spoke, he looked at Pa Shan and said, "You led 3,000 people to assist Wang Ju in apprehending the murderer. Anyone who resists will be killed without mercy." "Yes, Your Majesty." Pa Shan rubbed his hands together. He would be happy as long as he killed someone. "Your Majesty, I am willing to go and assist," Zhu Ren said hurriedly. He had realized that the Wang family was planning to take this opportunity to make a name for themselves, so how could he miss it? I think we should send officials to negotiate with the village elders and aristocratic families in the area where the incident occurred and ask them to hand over the main culprit. We should use courtesy first and then force, Cao Wei and Hu reminded. Yes, if they resist. It won't be too late to send troops, lest they think the court is unreasonable. Yes, Li Yuan listened to their work of fixing the omissions and nodded with satisfaction. This is the way to control your subordinates. The country can only prosper if its subjects feel involved and have a sense of belonging. The Ministry of Personnel should come up with a compensation plan, ensure that these children are properly buried, and hold a mourning ceremony. Report this matter in the newspaper, give these children first-class merit, and posthumously award them. Let everyone see the true faces of these mobs. Meeting adjourned. Farewell, Your Majesty. 2 days had passed since the incident, and after the village official was beaten and killed, the local villagers did not take it to heart. Some extremists even scolded the patrolling police officers. Among them, Shaolu's Wang is the most important. Shaolu village has 600 households and is a wealthy village well known in the surrounding area. The people of Shaolu's Huang were overbearing. They occupied a large amount of land from the surrounding residents and claimed it as their own. The local officials did not dare to say a word due to the power of the Lu family. Because the village was large and had a large population, the Ministry of Personnel sent 3 village officials at one time. These 3 village officials were buried underground and stoned to death. To date, the 3 holes had not been filled and the dried bloodstains are still visible. Many people in the village gathered at the entrance of the village to chat. The day court is not that great. It looks like a paper tiger. They are so fierce. If we kill their officials, won't that be a piece of cake? That's right, they still want to divide our land. Don't you see what kind of moral character they have? A young man smoked a cigarette and said with disdain, "If they dare to send people again, I dare to kill them. But I don't believe they dare to take away all the people in our village." Everyone nodded in agreement. Yes, yes. But at this moment, a half-grown young man ran over from outside and said in a panic, "Here they come. Arenio. What's coming?" "The court has come, quite a few of them, and they're carrying guns." Arenio said anxiously, "Quick, tell the village head. What are you afraid of? That's not how you threw stones." The young man put his arm around his neck. "Don't be afraid if they dare to come. We'll smash them to death with stones." Arenio scratched his head and then grinned. Although he was young, there was a fierce light in his eyes. In the early years, when they were competing for water with Da Wang Shaoan upstream, he hit a dagger, rolled on the ground, and stabbed everyone accurately. It was unknown how many people he stabbed. 2 days ago, he moved the biggest stone, which was bigger than the village official's head. He used all his strength and smashed the man's head in one blow. It feels so refreshing. Soon, the news spread and everyone in Shaolu village came. The head of the village was followed by several young men. "Second young master, what should I do later?" The young man in the lead was named Lu Xin, the second son of Lu Yang. "Let those women roll on the ground and let the children kneel on the ground and cry. The law cannot punish the masses. What can they do to us?" Lu Xin sneered. "Don't be afraid, as long as they dare to take action. No one in this land will pay attention to them in the future, unless they dare to kill everyone here." "But second young master, they brought guns." The headman swallowed nervously. "They are both weapons that kill people. How can a gun be more powerful than a knife? If they want to kill you, they can kill you with bare hands." Lu Xin glared at him. "Do as I say, and don't talk nonsense." Yes, I'll go right away." The head of the village turned around and a fierce look appeared on his face. In front of the second young master, he was a fawning lackey, but in the eyes of the villagers, he was an arrogant head of the village. Soon, he arranged things. More than 3,000 people in the village were blocked at the entrance of the village. They all seemed to be unarmed, but their clothes are bulging. The person negotiating was a recent graduate from the law school named Xu Lei. He was followed by a whole company of musketeers. So even though they outnumbered him, Xu Lei was not afraid. "My name is Xu Lei, and I'm a negotiator from Day's criminal department. I've been ordered to investigate the killing of a village official in Xiaolu village. Is the village head here? Xu Lei glanced around. I am the head of Xiaolu village. A head stepped forward and looked at Xu Lei coldly. We don't welcome you here, leave here. All under heaven belongs to the king. And all the people in the world are his subjects, Xu Lei said calmly. The land under my feet was conquered by day, and it was obtained with the leaves and blood of day soldiers. No one except your majesty has the right to let me lead here. You all must understand clearly that we are here to investigate a case and we represent the imperial court. If you expel us, you are obstructing the investigation. Even if it has nothing to do with you, you are suspected of shielding someone. As the village head, you broke the law unknowingly, which is an even greater crime. The village head was nervous, but when he saw the second young master in the crowd, he became confident. Stop talking nonsense, I won't fall for it if you have the guts, take everyone in the village away. Chapter 317, Attacking the Official. That's right, don't come to our village to show off your power. We won't fall for it. You dog officials, you want to take our land and give it to those bastards, why don't you just die? You only allow the governor to set fires, but not the people to light lamps. You are a tyrant. The emotions of the crowd were instantly aroused. And the old women all came to the ground and cried. It's unjust, soldiers are killing people, we can't live like this anymore. I have an 80-year-old mother to support and a crying baby to feed. What kind of world is this? All the half-grown children from each family were pushed to the front and knelt on the ground. Xu Lei also had an unpleasant expression on his face. Come, take these children too. They also threw stones, kill them all. Ernie Io was kneeling in the front, holding a dagger in his arms, looking at Xu Lei, ready to make a move. He glanced at the young man in the crowd, and seeing that he did not move, he became secretly anxious. Luo Xian crossed his arms and looked disdainful. That's all, are you worthy of coming to my little Lu village? Everyone around had a sarcastic look on their face. Seeing that Xu Lei dared not move, the village head said smugly, these people are murderers, you can arrest them, don't say that we don't cooperate with the court and don't hand over the murderers. Xu Lei said coldly, this is the first time I warn you not to interfere with the court's affairs. As long as the main culprit is handed over, the others will be forgiven. Your Lu family is also a century-old family and a famous local family. His Majesty is pleased to know that you are educating people far and wide, and has already sent people to your Lu family. Don't ruin your future. When the village head heard this, his face changed and he looked at Luo Xian with some guilt. Luo Xian's face changed slightly, and he became more and more disdainful in his heart. The court had indeed given in. So he became more confident, walked forward and bowed to Xu Lei. Master Xu, I am Luo Xian. From the Lu family. You have seen what happened in Xiaolu village. It's not that the villagers are rude, but that the 3 village officials oppressed the villagers too harshly. This led to the tragedy. Everything has a cause and effect, right? The 3 village officials' actions were recorded. What they said and did was recorded. It was clearly written in the record that on October 11, the first year of Tianming, village official Ma Yingkai led to assistance to Xiaolu village to publicize the land distribution policy and implement local household registration, check hidden and black households. Suddenly, a group of people rushed out with farming tools, knocked down Ma and the other 2 village officials, and buried them at the entrance of the village. At this point, he paused and pointed to 3 bloody holes on the ground, not far away. Those are the 3 holes. Then the men, women, old and young in the village gathered together and brutally killed the 3 people by throwing stones. Master Xu, there are as many households as there should be in Xiaolu village. There has never been any hidden or illegal households. Those people you mentioned might be local bandits. What do they have to do with the villagers of Xiaolu village? Luo Xian spread his hands and said aggrievely. You must not wrongly accuse innocent people. Yes, we must not wrongly accuse innocent people. The head of the village echoed. And then everyone spoke up. Ernie Ao also got up from the ground, spit at Xu Lei provocatively, and made a face. Xu Lei wiped the spit from his face. His expression became colder. Xiaolu village has 600 households and a population of more than 3,300 people. But in fact, the population exceeds 5,000. Most of them were slaves and illegal residents kept by the Lu family. Most of these people were illegal residents who tried to evade taxes and had no permanent property. Some people have been illegal immigrants for generations. To put it bluntly, they are private soldiers. I don't know whether they are good citizens or not. I only know that I have a lot of evidence in my hands. The recorder at the time saw it with his own eyes and recorded many people's names. Now, those whose names I call, follow me back for investigation. Xu Lei said coldly. Lu Gio you shit. Louis RWA. Those whose names were called were a little frightened. They hid in the crowd and shouted even louder. Some people even picked up stones on the ground and started throwing them in an attempt to drive away Xu Lei and others. Li Yang's expression also turned cold. Master Xu, are you planning to torture me into confessing? I'm warning you for the second time. Don't interfere with the work of the court after the third warning. We will take necessary measures. Xu Lei finally understood that these people were unreasonable. You threw stones to attack court officials. This is a serious crime according to court law. The punishment is as light as 3 years in prison. If the circumstances are particularly serious, you will be charged with treason. You bastard, do you think I was brought up by being scared? What treason? Who am I rebelling against? Unfairly claiming to be a tiger, is this what they calls benevolent governance? No wonder others call you violent. The old women continued to throw tantrums and the children cried and screamed. The young man in the crowd gestured to Ernie Ao. Ernie Ao was also delighted and quietly moved over. When not paying attention, he stabbed a negotiator with the dagger in his hand. The negotiator cried out in pain and held down Ernie A. He wants to kill me. Let me go quickly, you are bullying a child. Ernie Ao struggled hard, biting the dagger in his hand continuously. Looking at the blood-stained dagger, Xu Lei's face turned pale. How dare you attack an official of the imperial court in public? And you still dare to say that you are good citizens, you are courting death. When Luo Xian saw this, he was also shocked and cursed. Which bastard let him go up there? The young men in the crowd saw this and felt that something was wrong, so they secretly hid in the crowd. Quick! Bandage his wound. Xu Lei had the two birds pinned down, and the villagers started to curse. You can even kill children. And you still say this is not tyranny. Fellow villagers, take up stones and smash them to death. Someone in the crowd said something, and the people who were already resisting took out the stones hidden in their clothes. They are also trying to repeat the same thing. However, this time, they hit a wall. This is my third warning to you. Seeing that they were unmoved, Xu Lei made a gesture. Soldiers from the firearms battalion fired warning shots. 3 shots in a row failed to intimidate these people. Some even came to snatch weapons. The scene was in complete chaos. Luo Xian said no, and shouted at the crowd, "Stop, everyone stop." A head of the village was also pushed aside by the angry crowd. He ran to Luo Xian and said, "Second young master, something happened." Luo Xian cursed, "I told you to cry, make a scene and then hang yourself, not to attack the officials. These pig brains. It's useless to attack an official in public. He has a gun in his hand. Isn't this giving people a handle on you?" The head of the village was also panicked and rushed forward to stop them. Unfortunately, it's too late. The angry villagers could no longer be stopped. Seeing this, Xu Lei made a prompt decision. Shoot their legs. Bang bang bang. A series of sounds of frying beans exploded. The flames from the muzzle of the peepish gun instantly knocked the villager who was rushing in the front to the ground. The situation suddenly turned around. Chapter 318 Kill. In an instant, dozens of people fell to the ground wailing. The momentum of the villagers' charge was immediately curbed. Xu Lei shouted, "Everyone squat on the ground. If you continue to resist, it will be regarded as treason if your majesty is still alive. Obstructing public affairs and attacking officials will be regarded as treason and will be killed without mercy." When these words were spoken, many people were frightened. Especially Luo Xian. A bullet just landed at his feet, which made his legs go limp with fear. In just a moment, nearly 100 people fell to the ground. This submachine gun has 70 bullets. The enemy has 60 or 70 people, which means several thousand bullets. 1 bullet per person can send them to see their ancestors. Moreover, their bodies were bulging with grenades, pistols and spare magazines. "Hurry up and squat down. Everyone, squat down for me," Luo Xian shouted while retreating into the crowd. But after taking just 2 steps, his knees went weak and he fell to the ground. Then came a sharp pain. He looked down at his knees in disbelief. Then rolled on the ground holding his knees. My legs. Second young master." The head of the village rushed over quickly, his soul flying into the sky. But the next second, a bullet sent him to death. Only after the village head was killed did they begin to become afraid. Don't kill us. Everyone, squat on the ground immediately and put your hands on your head. Anyone who dares to escape will be killed without mercy. Xu Lei took the loudspeaker handed to him by someone else and shouted a few words loudly. Several people who tried to escape were shot dead, and the scene was finally under control. Everyone was so scared that they knelt on the ground, holding their heads in their hands, and no one dared to shout. The more stubborn they were just now, the more embarrassed they are now, because they didn't expect that these officers and soldiers would actually dare to open fire. After taking control of the scene, Xu Lei hurried to check on his subordinates. "Master Xu, this knife seems to have hit a major blood vessel. We need to move it quickly." The soldier tightened his belt around his thighs and said anxiously, "We must stop the bleeding, otherwise, he will bleed to death." Xu Lei hurriedly said, "Quick, send someone to the nearest garrison. No matter what, we must save his life." As his subordinates were sent away, Xu Lei could not help but curse. "Isn't the court good enough for you? Exempting you from grain taxes and co-RV labor. and giving you land for free. Do you really like being slaves and illegal residents? After he had scolded them, he found that these people looked numb, and then he realized that he had thought too much if these people listened to his scolding. How could they be like this? He suppressed his anger and continued to sign up. Those whose names are called, come out. He called out 300 names in one breath, including men and women, old and young. These people were dragged out. And those who just took action, dragged them all away and charged them with treason. This time, there were more than 300 more people. Some were hit and died instantly. Shulei made the decision on the spot, leaving the bodies in Xiaolu village and then taking away all the living people. They came quickly and left quickly, leaving a mess behind. Luo Xian gnashed his teeth and looked at Shulei and the others. Quick, send me back. Liu Yang happily sent the official away, and everyone in the clan complimented him. Congratulations, patriarch. Liu Yang stroked his beard and said with a smile, ask the kitchen to add a few more dishes tonight, give each person a bottle of wine, and increase all the monthly bonuses by 1 or 2 tiles. The servants in the clan were even more grateful and knelt on the ground to kowtow and thank the master. Liu Yang was happy the imperial court had indeed come and given them several official positions. It was revealed that the lowest rank was a 4th rank official. This is not low. Brother, what should we do next? Lu Guang asked. The imperial court has already surrendered, and our wishes have been conveyed in this case. We should at least give the imperial court some face. As long as Day does not touch our core interests, it is still good to support the court. Liu Yang said with a smile. It has to be the eldest brother. The brothers of the Liu family all kept flattering him. Liu Yang also benefited a lot from it. But at this moment, a servant ran in hurriedly. Master, something big has happened. The court sent people to Xiaolu village. Killed dozens of people, took away 600 or 700 people, killed the head of the village, and broke the second young master's leg. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone's faces changed drastically. Li Yang stood up suddenly. Tell me what happened. The man did not dare to hide anything and told the whole story. After hearing this, Liu Yang gritted his teeth in anger. Damn it. How dare you attack and kill an official appointed by the imperial court? Isn't this courting death? Originally they were still right as long as they insisted that it had nothing to do with them and refused to admit it. They would not dare to do anything. But now, not only did they take out their weapons, they also took action. Did they think the Liu family was living too well? Luo Xian is too reckless. How can he not even control his subordinates? If this gets reported to the higher authorities, will our Liu family be safe? Stop blaming others, catch up with the officials from the Ministry of Personnel immediately and send someone to find out what happened to the injured official. If he wasn't dead, everything would be fine, but if he was dead, just wait. Liu Yang was also very anxious. Originally, this matter had already achieved their desired goal at that time. They only needed to hand over a few people symbolically and the matter would be over. The Liu family benefited, the court also had a way out, and everyone was happy. Now, it is like adding fuel to the fire and slapping the court in the face. Soon, the people from the Liu family caught up with the people from the Ministry of Personnel, but this time, they didn't even see the officials from the Ministry of Personnel. Moreover, bad news came that the injured official died on the road due to continuous bleeding from his thigh. Liu Yang was stunned. The previous joyous mood of the entire Liu family was gone, and everyone felt insecure. Because the imperial army has already advanced. Who else could be the leader if not Pa Shan? The Liu family has disregarded the grace of His Majesty, failed to govern properly, attacked and killed an official appointed by the court, and obstructed the court's work. They are guilty of multiple crimes and are tantamount to treason. Everyone, lie on the ground and follow me back to the capital to await trial. The sound of Po Shan spread throughout the Liu family. General, there is a misunderstanding here. I can explain it. I can hand over the murderer. It has nothing to do with our Liu family. Liu Yang was terrified. He finally understood that these people came so quickly because the court was trying to use courtesy before force. The imperial court was determined to kill the chicken to scare the monkey. I'll give you a cup of tea. Come out and wait for your punishment. After a cup of tea, you will all be killed, said Pa Shan. We are innocent. You can't do this. My Liu family is also an imperial court official. How can you treat us like this? We want to see His Majesty and report to the emperor that someone is plotting to murder us. Pa Shan looked at the time and saw that no one had come out. He grinned and said, "Time's up. Kill." Chapter 319, Fooling. An hour and a half later. The Liu family was littered with corpses. Of course, Pa Shan did not kill them all, leaving most of them behind. All these people were taken to the capital of Bma State. 2 days later, nearly 10,000 people were tried in Bma City. Wang Ju, Zhu Ren, and Po Shan tried these people's crimes in public. Regardless of gender, age or status. Anyone who violates the law will be charged with treason. The execution was carried out by the assault battalion. Half an hour later, Tens of thousands of people were lying dead at the entrance of the vegetable market. It not only rectified the national laws, but also established authority. All noble families who resisted suffered great losses and dared not say a word. There are some people who have obtained high positions and generous salaries. To them, those who died were just some unruly people. The court no longer pursued other crimes and even stopped measuring the land. As for the annihilation of the entire Liu family, they deserved it. Attacking and killing an imperial official, causing his death, is something that no imperial court can tolerate. Not to mention the iron-blooded day. They didn't think there was anything wrong with their strategy at all, they just thought the Liu family was unlucky. Including the second bird, his limbs were broken before the execution and his whole body was beaten to pieces. The Liu family was even worse, they were beaten so badly that they couldn't even recognize their ancestors. After Li Yuan saw the overall process of being Meishu, he couldn't help but sigh. Governing a big country is like cooking a small fish, there is still a lot to do. Xiao Chai's strategy was good, but few people were willing to read his article, The Troubles of Aristocratic Families. It would be better to write more novels, storybooks, and edit some operas to have a subtle influence on people. Public schools should also be established, and restrictions on aristocratic families should still be in place. In the long run, it will surely sow the seeds of awakening among the people. After solving the problem of Meishu, the next thing to deal with is the northern area of Daqian. All four northern families surrendered. There are still some talented people among the four major families of Zi, Jia, Zheng and Wang. A solution Liu Yuan thought of was to send these people to Meishu or Dajing's hometown as officials in other places. There is already hatred among the three countries, and cross-governance may have miraculous effects. As for the two princes, changes occurred in Princess Yan's palace. And it seemed that power had been taken away. Someone delivered a visiting card. King Yu had already led his troops and left the north, surrendering to the south. As if he had the intention of competing with Bian Liang. Bian Jing cannot ignore the hundreds of thousands of troops led by Prince Yu. Not only did they not dare to openly label King Yu a traitor, they even had to leave a piece of land for King Yu's palace to settle down. What's even more interesting is that King Yu Shaoquan sent his two legitimate daughters over, left a large amount of supplies in Yushu, and asked someone to surrender today and become a vassal. This is basically the situation in the north. But it's also a mess. The area most severely affected by the Little Ice Age was the northern part of Daqian. Over the years, the entire north has been destroyed. If you want to use the big leaves, you need to spend a lot of effort to repair and transform them. But the people in the northern part of Daqian have the highest recognition for day. The policies being implemented have basically not encountered much resistance in the north. Firstly, the forces of various parties were reshuffled in turn, and basically they were all dealt with one by day. Secondly, Bei has made a lot of contributions to the people in the north over the years, so they are grateful today. Bai originated from Daqian, and Liu Yuan was once the county magistrate of Daqian. This kind of identity recognition is something that the people of the other two countries never have. This also made Liu Yuan increasingly aware of the importance of identity recognition. Judging from the map, Daqian is very suitable for development as the core area of Day. The barrenness of the north can be transformed after surviving the most difficult little glacier. The north will become a paradise. Where is the visiting card from Prince Xian's mansion? Liu Yuan suddenly remembered this. Your Majesty, it's at the bottom of the memorial, Wu Sun reminded. Liu Yuan opened the memorial and found the visiting card from Prince Xian's mansion, which said that Prince Xian's mansion was willing to surrender today. Where is the envoy from Prince Xian's palace? In the guest house. Announce. Liu Yuan threw the visiting card aside. Soon, envoys from Prince Xian's palace arrived. But these people represented Prince Xian, but Xiao Hu and his son had died long ago. The person he was meeting was a man named Jian Yi. In front of this man was an old man with white hair and a youthful face, and a fairy-like demeanor. The Sword Saint, whose real name is Xiao Zhu, later changed his name to Xiao Wuji, is the uncle of Emperor Shenzong. He was once the best martial artist in the world and lived in seclusion in Nanshan for many years. Unexpectedly, he also came down the mountain. Liu Yuan looked at the old man in front of him and told him all his information. The sword master raised his eyebrows and cupped his hands. I didn't expect that Emperor Day has also heard of an old antique like me. It's not difficult to find you. Qiao Yanlong was rescued by my people and went to tell you the news, but I didn't expect you to leave first. Then you led people to kill Xiao Hu and took control of all the troops in Prince Xian's mansion. Are you here for Xiao Yanlong? No, I feel relieved that the boy is with you. Which is why he stayed in Liangjing for a long time. As soon as he entered the palace, he saw Xiao Yanlong guarding the palace gate. This guy has been a runner for 10 years, but he didn't expect that after coming today, he would become a doorman again. The sword master didn't know whether he was happy or sad to have such a disciple. Xiao Yanlong, who was standing at the door, also looked secretly into the hall with a drooping brow. Xiao Yanlong, come in. Hearing the summons, Xiao Yulan also walked in quickly, knelt on one knee and said, "What do you want, your majesty? Your master is here, why don't you salute him?" Xiao Yunlong scratched his head, looked at Li Yuan, and looked at the sword saint just as he was about to salute. He was stopped by the sword saint. "You kid! You really embarrassed me for more than 10 years, you have not made a name for yourself, you have been running errands for others for 10 years. And now you are guarding the gate at Antibao. I am relieved that you are not dead." Xiao Yunlong said with a guilty look on his face. "I am incompetent, sorry to trouble you." The sword saint ignored him and said to Li Yuan, "Your Majesty, Emperor Day, I only have one question after asking, I will leave Liangjing. All the power of Prince Xian's mansion will be handed over to you. Speak." Li Yuan was quite interested in this sturdy old man, not to mention his personal fighting skills. His seniority was also the highest in Daqian. If he could join Day, the benefits would be extraordinary. "I have read many books written by your majesty. I would like to ask your majesty, how can I enter the Dao through sword?" The sword saint could not wait for you girl to come up with a plan for sword. He was almost tortured to death. He had been asking for decades but still could not find a way. This caused ripples in his calm state of mind. Li Yuan was full of surprise. What? He is indeed skilled in martial arts, but he trusts the weapon in his hand more. Isn't it embarrassing for Fat Tiger to ask him such a profound question? But when he heard him say that he had read all the books he had written, he pondered and revealed a profound look. "Although I don't have any martial arts skills, I know how to enter the Tao, but the Dharma cannot be passed on lightly. Is Prince Xian's mansion not enough? Without you, Prince Xian's mansion would also be mine," Li Yuan said lightly. The sword master frowned. "Then tell me the conditions, I only want the method to enter the Tao." Chapter 320. The lame. Li Yuan found it funny. But on second thought, there are many people in this era who practice Taoism and seek the truth. Moreover, the history of this world can be traced back to 1500 years ago, but 1500 years ago, but 1500 years ago. There was a blank. All that remains is an ambiguous myth. The sword saint was undoubtedly devoted to seeking the truth. If he had any ideas about power, Daqian would not have declined to this extent. "I don't lack anything. Even if I need something, you can't give it to me." Li Yuan shook his head. The sword master frowned, which reminded him of Wang Yuan Long Babu, who was well-read. Although she had no martial arts skills, she was able to guide martial arts masters. Could it be Li Yuan too? "I have 30,000 skilled outlaws under my command. They come from all over the world, but without exception, they are all masters among masters. If your majesty can tell them the way to enter the Tao, these 30,000 people can join your majesty," said the sword saint. Li Yuan smacked his lips. Old Senior is indeed devoted to the pursuit of truth, but Day doesn't want 30,000 Green Forest warriors. If it's 30 Zerolite soldiers, I can accept it with a smile. The sword saint lowered his head and understood what Li Yuan meant. Since ancient times, the imperial court has looked down on these people from the underworld. "Then how can your majesty tell me the method?" Li Yuan sighed. "When I first came to this world, I didn't know how hard it was. I spent half my life in poverty. Now that I look back on the road I came from, I know why I cried when I was alive." "Your majesty, do you know Zen?" May he ask. "Your majesty, why are you suddenly reciting this poem?" Over the years, the old senior has been living in seclusion in Nanshan, not caring about worldly affairs, and concentrating on Taoism, but he has never entered the Dharma. I guess there must be dust in his heart. The sword saint shuddered. "That's right, in the early years, I was invincible, but I felt that life was boring, so I retired to Nanshan to practice Taoism, just to pursue the ultimate sword path. But in recent years, I have become increasingly restless and often feel anxious. I read a lot of books and learned a lot of Dharma, but I still couldn't calm down. There is no body tree, and the bright mirror is not a stand. There is nothing originally, so where can dust gather?" Li Yuan said again. The sword master seemed to have suddenly been enlightened, as if a string had been completely untied at that moment. He felt his faith loosen. He lowered his head and pondered, combining the two poems that Li Yuan had recited and gaining insights into them. This insight made him feel that the two poems were more and more profound. Li Yuan did not disturb him, but picked up the memorial and read it. Xiao Yanlong looked at his master, and was quite shocked. He then looked at Li Yuan and thought to himself, "No wonder your majesty has achieved such a great feat at such a young age. The philosophy of life contained in these two short poems will take him a lifetime to comprehend." Even the master fell into deep thought. When he thought of the Prince Xian to whom he was loyal, he suddenly felt that the previous 15 years had been wasted and he had learned nothing. He looked at Li Yuan with even more awe. After 3/4 of an hour, the sword saint sighed, stood up, bowed, and said, "I am old and my mind is confused. I cannot comprehend these two poems. Your majesty, please enlighten me." Li Yuan put the memorial aside and said, "The Tao comes from life. Even if I know it and tell you, you may not be able to enter the Tao. The ancients attained enlightenment and wrote books to tell you how to achieve enlightenment. Have you attained enlightenment? The sword master's head buzzed, his body swayed, and he staggered to sit on the chair. Then he said bitterly, yes, I have devoted myself to research, but I still can't get the door. No wonder your majesty recited those 2 poems, they are truly words worth 1,000 gold. I was obsessed with appearances and let myself go. At this moment, he suddenly felt that the complexity in his heart was much less looking at Liu Yuan. He also thanked him sincerely, Your Majesty, I will never forget your great kindness. Liu Yuan waved his hand and said, It's not a big favor, I know you don't care about worldly affairs, you haven't interfered in the affairs between Dai and Daqian. Besides, Xiao Yunlong is here too, so you are not an outsider. The conditions I just proposed were just a joke. It is foolish to make conditions to a man like the sword master. Only when he feels that he owes you a favor will he be interested in you. Moreover, Xiao Yunlong's eyes changed when he said this casually. Before the sword saint could speak, Liu Yuan continued, In fact, the way to enter the Tao is very simple. You can gain enlightenment after traveling around the world. There are also those who mingle in the world to cultivate their minds and seek the truth. From heartless to affectionate, from affectionate to heartless, all can lead to the Tao. I know a saint who attained enlightenment in Longcheng one day, achieved the study of the mind, and was respected by the world. I also know of a Buddha who cut off his flesh to feed an eagle and became a Buddha. In fact, when it comes down to it, the Tao is in the heart and is not bound by the law. If you focus on rituals, you will never be able to enter Taoism in your lifetime. Liu Yuan's words were like the sound of a great bell, shocking the sword master on the spot. The world refines the heart. With affection without affection, not bound by the law. The sword master took a deep breath and said, I want to know their story, Your Majesty, can you tell me? Their story cannot be told in a few words. Liu Yuan said with a smile, If you are interested, you can stay in Liangjing for a few more days when you are free. You can come to the palace to see me at any time. The sword master thought for a moment, then bowed and said, Thank you, Your Majesty. Then he said, When Daqian lost its power, the whole world chased it. There is nothing to get involved in. It was the Xiao family that failed to protect the world. You can't blame others. Just because I am a member of the Xiao family, I cannot think that the world must belong to the Xiao family, otherwise, it would be so unfair for these countries in the Middle Earth to perish over the past 1,000 years. Liu Yuan laughed. Old Senior is a master in killing people in seconds. It seems that he is not far from enlightenment. Your Majesty, I appreciate your words. The sword saint looked at Xiao Yunlong again, then sighed, This useless disciple of mine has all the skills I have taught him. If Your Majesty uses him, you will be disappointed. There are many talented people in the world, but there are no more than 3 who can surpass my disciple. If I stay by your side to protect you, I can ensure your peace. I offer you the military power of Prince Xian's mansion with both hands. Liu Yuan nodded. I won't keep you for dinner. I'll take my leave. The sword master came quickly and left quickly. Xiao Yunlong knelt on the ground. Your Majesty, my humble master. All right, I've asked you to guard the door for so long, you must be feeling very depressed. And you must have been criticizing me a lot, right? I dare not. Xiao Yunlong shook his head. Really, I am only grateful. How can I have the right to criticize? Liu Yuan smiled faintly. The war is far from over, and you are not as extraordinary as your master, who is devoted to seeking the truth. Now that you have entered the officialdom, it would be a waste of your years of martial arts if you don't lead troops into battle, kill the enemies on the battlefield, and earn a reputation as a brave general. Xiao Yunlong, listen to my orders. I obey your orders. You join the 2nd Army, the 1st Cavalry Division, the 3rd Cavalry Battalion, and led the 3rd Cavalry Battalion with the rank of a full battalion commander. I am looking forward to your future, but please don't bring disgrace upon your reputation as a teacher. Xiao Yunlong was overjoyed. His wish, which he had been looking forward to for more than 10 years, had finally come true. Chapter 321, Li Baiyu fights for favor. The first thing the sword master did after leaving the palace was to disband the forces under his command. The old eunuch knelt down and begged, Master, why did you dismiss them? These people follow me, and they are always in my heart. I don't fight for supremacy, nor do I care about worldly affairs, so why do I need them? The sword saint said, To seek the Tao, you must be willing to give up. Only by taking and letting go can you achieve the Tao. But Master, these people have followed you for many years. After following them for so many years, do I have to continue to manage them? Next, I will continue to stay in Liangjing and discuss Taoism with Emperor Dai. I have a feeling that the opportunity to enter Taoism this time should be on him. The sword saint's eyes were full of hope. Okay. Stop talking nonsense and pass on my orders. The old eunuch had no choice but to pass on the order then. The leaders below knelt in the yard and begged the sword master. Master, please don't drive us away. Master, did we do something wrong? Why are you disbanding us? However, the door was tightly closed, with no intention of opening. After a while, only one sentence came from inside. Go back to where you came from. You can't say you are my person in the future. If you bring up my reputation and commit crimes outside, I will not forgive you no matter where you are. The sword master was holding a copy of Journey to the West in his hand and happened to see Wukong being persuaded away by Patriarch Body. He was inspired and felt that Lu Yuan's words made sense. Everyone outside was crying their hearts out, but they knew their master's temper and that he would never change what he said. Where shall we go from here? Half of my life has been wasted, and now I am homeless. Hearing the crying outside, the sword saint's heart softened and he said, why not settle down in day? Maybe it would be nice to just be an ordinary person. Hearing this, everyone's eyes lit up. Yes, master, we will settle down in day right now and be at your disposal at any time. The sword master shook his head. I am blinded by one thing, but so are they. Then he turned over and read the book carefully. On the other hand, Li Baiyu could no longer sit still after staying in the guest house for 2 months. The emperor neither summoned her nor visited her, as if he had forgotten her. In desperation, she had no choice but to go out and ask to see Li Wuyu. Fortunately, entering the palace went smoothly, and requesting an audience with Li Wuyu also went smoothly. Sister, I finally see you, Li Baiyu said with a look of grievance. Li Wuyu hated Daixi and Emperor Xia very much, but he did not hate his sister who was unaware of the situation. It's just that her relationship with Li Baiyu is average. She pulled her hand back calmly and said, sit down. Li Baiyu looked around the palace and said, sister, although the place you live in is big, it is too simple after all. You are the eldest princess of our great Xi and one of the 4 concubines. How come the palace is so empty and leaky? The emperor really doesn't value you at all. As soon as he finished speaking, Li Wuyu scolded, shut up. His Majesty treats me very well, the palace is newly built and this is the best place in the harem. If you don't understand, don't talk nonsense. Li Baiyu said a grieved lie. Okay, I was just talking. Is it necessary to have such a big reaction? Do you think this is Daixia? Li Wuyu snorted. This is Dai. You were sent today as an abandoned child. You speak without thinking if others hear it. I can't protect you. Li Baiyu said with an unpleasant expression. What do you mean by abandoned child? Aren't you the same? Yes, I am the abandoned pawn, Li Wuyu said calmly. If you still have this attitude, I suggest you continue to stay in the guest house, so as not to say things you shouldn't say and do things you shouldn't do when you enter the palace. Your Majesty hates people like this the most. Li Baiyu softened her attitude. Sis, you and I are sisters, I just don't understand, so I come to ask you for advice. Right? Besides, I came today this time to represent the face of Daixia. Can you bear to see me suffer there? If others knew about this, wouldn't they laugh at our great Xia? If I enter the palace, my sisters and I will join forces and I will definitely be able to charm His Majesty to death. His Majesty is a wise and powerful king. If you want to charm him to death, I'm afraid you will have no hope in this life. Li Baiyu was also a little angry. Even if we broke each other's bones, we are still connected. Since I walked in, you haven't given me a good look. Even if I said something wrong, you could have corrected me. Why be so sarcastic? Yes, you have followed Emperor Day for so long, so naturally you know more than me. But don't forget what your last name is and what your purpose of coming here is. Our goal is to win favor and give birth to a prince. Right now, Day doesn't have a prince. As long as we work together and give birth to more princes, the world of Day will be ours sooner or later. That's why His Majesty hasn't summoned you for so long. Li Wuyu sneered. Your thoughts are obvious. Does His Majesty need women? There are many women who are more beautiful, smarter, and more virtuous than you. Forget it, go away. Li Baiyu was so angry. You are interesting or not? Are you so afraid that I will take away your love? Yes, you are older than me and age faster than me. You have followed His Majesty for so long. I am afraid His Majesty must have been tired of you a long time ago. That's why you say all these nonsense. Aren't you afraid that I will take away your love? Why are you making so many excuses? It's hypocritical. In her opinion, what Li Wuyu said were all excuses. Ultimately, he was just afraid that he could not win the competition with her. Her figure could not compare to Li Wuyu's, but she had delicate features and a petite figure. Her hands and feet were so pretty that even women would be moved at the sight of them. She didn't believe that Lu Yuan didn't like it after seeing it. Moreover, her skin was extremely delicate, and the slightest pinch would leave a mark. When she was excited, her skin turned red, and even her mother said that whoever married her would be reluctant to even get out of bed. Li Wuyu smiled faintly. Yongping Palace is over there, no one will stop you, see if His Majesty will keep you. Li Baiyu gritted his teeth and said, go if you want to remember this today. You didn't care about our sisterhood. If she gets favored by me, don't say I didn't warn you. After saying this, she flicked her sleeves and walked away. At this time, Li Yuan was checking the list of officials who were transferred to local areas. Your Majesty, Li Baiyu requests to see you. Wu Sun reminded in a low voice. Li Yuan looked a little confused, then he reacted. What is she doing here? Your Majesty, she has been in Liangjing for 2 months and has been living in the guest house she just went to Wuyu Palace. Li Yuan put down the document. He was not interested in Li Baiyu. The only thing he was interested in was her and Li Wuyu's sisterhood. However, it was not appropriate to let her live outside all the time. Let her in. Chapter 322, So sad. Soon, Li Baiyu came in. Seeing the handsome and majestic man on the dragon throne, her heart beat faster. Your Majesty, I pay my respects to you. Li Yuan raised his hand slightly, motioning for her to stand up. Come forward. Li Baiyu was delighted and walked up to the golden palace. Only then did Li Yuan see her appearance clearly. She didn't look like Li Wuyu, but was very similar to Lianla, with very delicate facial features. Body shape petite and delicate, like an immature fruit that has not yet fully developed. But it is better than Lianla having no development at all. But the skin is so tender that you can even see the blood vessels beneath the skin, which are glowing white. She speaks in a sweet voice, which is very pleasant to listen to. You were living well in the guest house. Why did you run into the palace? Li Baiyu said a grieved lie. That is an inn. This is my future home. Li Yuan laughed. That's not wrong. I have been waiting for your Majesty to summon me day and night, but your Majesty's order has not come yet, so I mustered up the courage to ask for an audience with my sister. It's just that my sister said that His Majesty was too busy to deal with me. So I mustered up the courage to come here. Li Yuan raised his eyebrows. Why did this woman speak in such a teasing tone? Based on his understanding of Li Wuyu, this is probably not the case. Oh, your sister won't help you? It's not that I don't want to help. It's just, I'm afraid of making His Majesty unhappy. Hearing this, Li Yuan lost interest. Looking at her delicate and artificial appearance, he said, I am indeed not very happy. Li Baiyu was stunned for a moment, then said in a panic, I know I was wrong. Forget it, since you're already in the palace. Don't go out, I'll make you a dresser. Li Yuan said, go and serve your sister. Li Baiyu was dumbfounded. Change clothes? Your Majesty, this. Why, do you think the clothes are too high? How about becoming a palace maid? Li Yuan said with a smile. What is changing clothes? She was of the 9th rank. Not even a concubine or maid. In Diaxia, the people who changed clothes were palace maids. In Dakian, she was a concubine of the lowest rank. Most of the palace maids were also at this level, and those with a little more rank were higher than her. From being a princess of a country to being a dresser in the harem, the gap is extremely huge. Your Majesty, is the dress too low? Li Baiyu's eyes were red. If you don't like being a dresser, then go to the laundry department and do laundry. Li Yuan touched his chin. No, just change your clothes. I don't want to go to the laundry department. Li Baiyu shook his head like a rattle. It's just that my sister and I. From now on, your duty will be to warm the bed and serve your sister. When we rest, you stay by our side, Li Yuan said lightly. Li Baiyu was completely miserable, feeling aggrieved and angry. It must be that bitch Li Wuyu who tipped off His Majesty in advance and said something she shouldn't have said, which is why His Majesty treated me like this. After all, she is the princess of Diaxia and represents Diaxia in marriage, not to mention the 4 concubines. She should have a place among the concubines of the next level. If the news of her changing clothes were to get out, she would probably be laughed to death by the Chinese people. She was not convinced. I still have a chance, Li Wuyu. Just wait for me. Go down on T. Come here without permission. What's the big deal about a princess? The last thing he lacks is a princess. Soon, the news of Li Baiyu changing clothes reached Li Wuyu's ears. She was also stunned while exercising, but then she quickly understood Li Yuan's intentions and felt warm in her heart. Just as he was thinking about it, he saw Li Baiyu, who had changed his clothes, moving in from outside with an embarrassed look on his face. She is changing her clothes now, and it is not appropriate for her to wear princess clothes anymore. Li Wuyu ignored her and just rolled around on the ball to exercise his body's flexibility. Sister, Li Baiyu slowly moved in front of Li Wuyu like a punching bag. It's all my fault. I didn't listen to you. That's why I made His Majesty angry. Can you forgive me and say a good word to His Majesty for me when the time comes? I am of humble status, and His Majesty will not listen to me. You are so capable. His Majesty will like you so much that by the time you are favored, there will be no place for an old woman like me in the palace. Li Wuyu leaned forward, her clothes almost unable to cover her, and she jumped out. Li Baiyu gritted his teeth, knelt in front of her, grabbed her ears, and said tearfully, I was wrong, I was too shameless. You can hit me or scold me. I dare not hit you if His Majesty blames me. What will happen to me? The female official nearby was observing, and Luo Obing was also alarmed. As the highest official of the 6 bureaus and 24 departments, she had the right to exercise jurisdiction over such low-ranking concubines in the harem. Moreover, there are assessment standards in the palace, and appearance and talent are just the basis. There are also extremely strict standards, and those who fail to meet them will be expelled from the palace. Before that, the emperor would not visit. Li Baiyu saw someone writing and drawing nearby. Although he didn't know what she did, he saw that she was wearing an official uniform, and even Li Weiyu ignored her. He knew that this charming woman must have a high status. He continued to play the victim. "Sister, please forgive me." Li Weiyu sighed and said to Luo Bing, "Sister Luo, how about you take her away and teach her a lesson? Your Majesty has issued a special decree to have her serve you. The entire process will be recorded. If she fails to meet the requirements, she will be expelled from the palace." Li Baiyu's heart sank. This forced her to become a palace maid of lowly status. And even had people monitoring her, if she was sent back, her fate would definitely not be much better than Li Weiyu's. When Li Weiyu returned to Beijing, she often made fun of him behind his back. But he never thought that this retribution would fall on him. "Li Baiyu, right? My name is Luo Bing, and I'm the highest official in the 6 bureaus and 24 departments of the harem's female officials. Now that you've entered the palace, I hope you'll abide by the palace rules. These are the rules and regulations of the palace. You must memorize them within 2 days. Your duty is to serve concubine Li well, warm the bed, wash her feet, keep watch at night, and change her clothes when His Majesty comes. There will be assessments for each item, and I hope you can meet the standards. Otherwise, I can only follow the rules and regulations." Tears as big as beans fell from Li Baiyu's eyes. This time, she was really sad. "If I had known this earlier, I wouldn't have been so arrogant. Now look what happened. You've really killed yourself. Did you hear it clearly?" Luo Bing frowned. Li Baiyu was so frightened that his whole body trembled. "I heard it clearly, Master Luo. Don't worry. I will definitely follow your teachings." Luo Bing nodded, then turned and left, but she also asked someone to watch her from the side. Li Baiyu didn't dare to cry anymore. She wiped away her tears, knelt beside Li Weiyu, and forced a smile. "Sister, madam, are you tired? How about I pour you a cup of tea to moisten your throat?" Chapter 323 Queen Mu. At this time, in the southern district of Liangjing, the 36th Ward Market, the population of the entire Liangjing has exceeded 1.3 million. The original 108 wards are no longer sufficient, so new districts were built and 36 wards were expanded. Most of the Xiao family settled in the 36th ward. On weekdays, they are no different from ordinary people. When Yangjing was still Biaoyang County, local people were often transferred to the surrounding areas to do farming, road construction, grain harvesting and other work. Mu, who was posthumously named Queen Shunshao, continued to live a life of luxury, and even in the most difficult times, she never had to work. At the age of 50, she looks as if she is in her 30s. Still charming and graceful. On the 1st and 15th day of every month, people from below would come here to pay their respects to her and offer their filial respects, and their style was no different from that in the palace. She even had a few maids taking care of her. "Chunhuan, it's getting colder in Liangjing. Please burn the stove a little brighter tonight." Empress Mu, dressed in silk and satin, lay lazily in a rocking chair, with her legs covered with the finest cashmere blanket. Even at home, her hair is always done meticulously. Her face was rosy, her lips were dotted with a hint of crimson, and her white and tender hands were placed on her chest. There were 2 maids, one holding Dream of Red Mansions in her hand, and the other holding some newly caught fruits. She just raised her hand slightly, and the girl understood and turned the page of the book. "No more, it's too sweet and choking my throat." Empress Mu waved her hand. "Put the book away too. I'm tired of reading it. Read it to me next time." "Yes ma'am. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I just feel uncomfortable all over." Queen Mu sighed. Chunhuan, who was standing by, understood what he meant and said, "Madam, why don't you go to the bathroom and I'll ask Dr. Liu to come and treat you?" Queen Mu nodded and pretended to be uncomfortable. "Okay. But I don't know if he is free." Dr. Liu, whose original name was Liu Wang, once served as the imperial physician of Daqian. However, his greatest strength was not his medical skills, but his appearance. Because of his handsome appearance, he won the favor of Emperor Shenzong for a time. In addition, he was eloquent and his medical skills were also decent. He was appointed as the imperial physician at the age of 30. Later, he entered the Ministry of Rites with his own abilities. When she escaped, in order to ensure her health, Liu Wang followed her and faked his own death to escape and came here. Later, Emperor Shenzong died suddenly. She felt empty inside and eventually she got together with Liu Wang. But in her heart, Liu Wang was just a tool to relieve her worries and fatigue. "Bravely, you may be on duty. His clinic is very busy," Chunhuan said with his head down. "What a spoiler," Empress Mu sighed. But she thought that he didn't do it on purpose, so she said, "Where's Guard Wang? Let him come." This Guard Wang was also a general who escorted her back then. He looked ordinary, but he was tall and strong. He was also the one who ensured her safety over the years. Chunhuan nodded and was about to inform Guard Wang, but at this time Xiaohuan came in and said, "My son pays his respects to me." Seeing Xiao Hong, Empress Mu became the dignified and elegant empress who could only be admired from afar. Why are you back at this hour? Isn't the team busy? The injury has not yet recovered, and it has not yet reached the standard of returning. Mother, I have delivered the letter. What did she say? Queen Mu asked with a frown. Xiao Hong recounted the entire incident. She wasn't that willing, probably because the news that you were still alive was too shocking. I think she needs some time to accept it. This damn girl, I loved her in vain back then. Now that she knew I was alive, she didn't come to see me the first time. Queen Mu had a gloomy face and patted the armrest angrily, seeming to be very dissatisfied with Xiao Jianjia. Mother, she is one of the 4 concubines after all. And she can't just come here casually. Xiao Hong thought for a moment and said, besides, she has servants around her. And where she goes and who she meets will be recorded. That's not a reason for her not to come and see me. Empress Mu sneered. After all, she is the Empress of Daqian, not to mention her ability in governing the country and fighting wars. She is not like Emperor Shenzong at all. She gave birth to a child out of wedlock at such a young age. Which is fine since she gave birth to Lu Yuan's daughter. She should at least be the Empress. She was lucky enough to have become one of the 4 concubines and to be able to show off in public. Have you ever seen any of the 4 concubines hanging out outside? The more Empress Mu spoke, the angrier she became. All she spoke were sarcastic and derogatory remarks. And she seemed to look down on Xiao Jianjia very much. Xiao Hong said, Mother, maybe it is because you are favored that you can leave the palace. If you were an ordinary concubine, how could you leave the palace and show your face outside? Otherwise I wouldn't have seen her at all. So what, you still can't give birth to a son? Empress Mu snorted coldly. At this critical moment, everyone is trying to have a son. She is out every day even if she is pregnant. Lu Yuan will probably suspect that it is a bastard. Xiao Chang's mouth twitched, and he also felt that his mother's words were too harsh. It shouldn't be that serious, right? You don't understand men. Empress Mu sneered. How many of these men who are emperors are not petty? Most of the people in military hospitals are bad men. After long-term contact with them, who can guarantee that nothing will happen? No brains at all. Instead of thinking about having a son and climbing up the social ladder, she also wanted to become a miracle doctor. When did the people of our Xiao family go backwards as they get older? Xiao Hong also thought it made sense. Then I'll try to persuade her next time. Your grandmother has come to ask me several times, so do you want me to answer her? Queen Mu became more and more dissatisfied, as if her current life was all caused by Xiao Jianjia. Xiao Hong smiled bitterly. That being said, things are different now after all. She is now Liu Yuan's concubine, and her status and position are there. If we want to get out of this predicament, we have to rely on her. If it's not convenient for her to come and see us, how about we go to the hospital to see her? Without waiting for Empress Mu to refuse, Xiao Hong said, Mother, please don't rush to refuse it. It's actually quite difficult for her to be single for so many years. If we escape and leave her in the palace, she might be resentful inside. She won't help us unless she gets rid of the resentment. So, I'm sorry to have troubled you. Moreover, I have already contacted Xiaoyu. If she doesn't cooperate, Xiaoyu will definitely cooperate. Xiaoyu is younger and more sensible than her. She will be favored in the future and give birth to a prince. That will be our chance. If Jianjia also turns to the light, and we will join forces and find a way to kill Liu on, the world of Day will still belong to our Xiao family. At that time, you will not be the queen, but the supreme empress dowager who dares not to listen to you. Empress Mu also thought it made sense. Forget it. For the sake of Daqian and the future of our Xiao family, I will bear with it for a while. Chapter 324, Each One's Own Calculations. Mother, you are wise. Xiao Hong hurriedly flattered her, and then looked at Empress Mu. But mother, if you are going to see her, you can't wear this kind of clothes. You should wear something more ordinary. The more ordinary the better. Empress Mu nodded. I'll save that. Xiao Hong discussed the details with his mother again, and decided to go see Xiao Jianjia in 2 days after all. It was not easy to see her now as they needed to report, and it would be easy to expose their identities. In fact, when they escaped that year, they never thought that Xiao Jianjia would ascend the throne. Later, when Xiao Jianjia ascended the throne, the situation in the country became much clearer, which gave Xiao Hong hope. After all, Xiao Jianjia is just a woman, and a woman who gave birth before marriage. She is morally flawed, and it is not difficult to depose her. It's a pity that Prince Wan was too incompetent and ultimately could not be helped. Let's not even mention the waste Xiao Yida said that his wife was toyed with by Yang Ji, and the child Xiao Shun gave birth to was Yang Ji's child. Even a fool would know. This trick of using someone else as a substitute is so damn obvious. But now, the situation has become clear. It is 100 times easier for the Xiao family to seize power than it was a few years ago. Thinking of this, Xiao Hong also took his leave. But just as she reached the door, a 4 or 5-year-old child ran over from the backyard and threw himself into Queen Mu's arms. Mom, I want to drink Mix Yue City. I also want Snow King toys, and have someone make me a slingshot. I want to go shoot birds. Xiao Hong paused, looking somewhat embarrassed, and feeling extremely angry inside. Bastard! He cursed in his heart, not knowing whether this bastard was from that bastard Liu Wang or that bastard Huang Qian, or someone else's. He didn't want to let you interfere too much in his mother's personal life after all. His father had been gone for 6 years. At first, she was able to avoid people. After her father died, she even called him back openly. What's even more infuriating is that this child's surname is also Xiao, and his name is Xiao Yan. Yan means to continue. But his father's name is Xiao Yan. This bastard's name sounds the same as his father's, and because of this, he almost had a falling out with Queen Mu. But in the end, he was unable to defeat Queen Mu. He didn't know how many times he wanted to kill this bastard, but for the sake of the greater plan, he finally endured it. It is not enough to just contact Xiaoyu, he also needs to contact Prince Wan. As the Minister of Rights, Prince Wan can provide great help. However, I wrote several letters, but they all fell into the sea and there was no response. I don't know whether he was in trouble or just didn't want to have anything to do with them anymore. The family property that I brought out of the palace that year was almost squandered by those people. Although there are a few people who are eager to study, there are too many parasites. Xiao Hong strode away as if he didn't hear Empress Mu's doting and care for the bastard behind him. Hey Xu, didn't mother tell you not to come out when there are people around? Compared to Xiao Hong and others, she loved Xiao Yan the most. The reason why this name was chosen was also very thoughtful. Xiao Hong has too many thoughts and is too opinionated. Even if she returns to Daqian in the future and he seizes power, she will have no share in it. Do you really think that every time you come over and say, "The Most High Holy Mother Queen Mother," you can coax yourself into a state of disarray? Even if she was just an empress dowager with no power or influence, nothing more. By then, I will be alone in the palace and won't know how I died. This child is different, he is his future. Ma, was my second brother here just now? Yes, it's your second brother. Empress Mu hugged him and said lovingly, "Son, wait a little longer, give me some time. I will definitely let you sit on the supreme position." Xiao Jianjia has been in a very bad state these past 2 days, and even almost prescribed the wrong medicine for a patient. If Xi Ongmei hadn't been there, a big mistake would have been made. You seem very tired these 2 days, do you want to take a day off? Xi Ongmei frowned before this. She didn't like Xiao Jianjia, even if she is a lady. But after working together for such a long time, my impression of Xiao Jianjia has changed a lot. This woman is very strong and hardworking, and she doesn't have the pretensions of an empress or the princess's mother. It is also great for the wounded. Maybe I didn't get enough rest at night. I'll just take a nap, it won't affect my work, Xiao Jianjia said hurriedly. Dean, don't worry, this kind of thing will never happen again. Having said that, I still want to remind you that if a medical accident causes casualties, you will be brought to a military court. Even if you are the princess's mother and one of the 4 concubines, you cannot be exempted from punishment, Xia Hongmei reminded. Xiao Jianjia also looked guilty. Yes, I understand, and I will never make the same mistake again. Xia Hongmei didn't say much. Although she worked with Xiao Jianjia, she didn't want to get too close to her. When she returned to the office, Xiao Jianjia was extremely tired. She had fallen into a vicious circle that she couldn't break. A resurrection of her mother and others was planned from the beginning, and this idea has been lingering in her mind. That kind of pain is excruciating. And Lu Yuan's misunderstanding made her fall into internal friction and self-doubt. She can't be an emperor, and she can't even be a human being. What else can she be good at? She looked at her hands. She thought that the wrong medicine was prescribed today. If the injured person took it, it would most likely cause a medical accident. Now, I can't even be a doctor. Am I a waste? Xiao Jianjia held her forehead in pain. In fact, as Huan Wan grew older, she no longer liked to stick to him like before. She seemed to be needed by no one. The successive blows made her feel a little breathless. She did not despair when she was being chased by the enemy and fled. Even after she ended up in day, she never despaired. At this moment, she was desperate. Standing by the window, she even had the urge to jump out. My stomach churned and a strong feeling of nausea came over me again. But at this moment, there was a knock on the door. Empress Xiao, there is a patient with an appointment looking for you. The one who spoke was the female guard, Xiao Yao, who was specifically assigned to protect her closely. Xiao Jianjia has an appointment quota every day after verification by the hospital. The patient will be called to Xiao Yao for verification. Only when there is no problem will it be reported to Xiao Jianjia. Because Xiao Jianjia has the reputation of being the most beautiful female doctor, many people come to her for consultation. Not only the injured, but also many of the injured's family members would use their connections to come and for medical consultation. The families of soldiers are also given preferential treatment. There are even plans to build an affiliated hospital. Chao Jianjia took a sip of water to suppress the urge to vomit. And then washed her face with cold water. Only then did she feel better. Let them in. She sat in her office chair, trying to adjust herself and make herself look energetic. But when the door opened, the first person who came in made her face fall. Why are you here again? You just came the day before yesterday. Xiao Hong smiled and said, this time it's not me who is here to see the doctor, but my elders. Chapter 325 Seeking Death and Life. Chao Jianjia's heart skipped a beat. Which elder? Xiao Hong leaned out and helped a woman who was simply dressed and had a pale face come in. Seeing the woman, Chao Jianjia stood up suddenly. Even though I knew she was still alive, the moment I saw her, I couldn't help but feel a pang of pain in my heart. Xiao Hong closed the door calmly. Don't you want to ask? Chao Jianjia's nails dug into her flesh. She seemed strong. But now she was in tears. She asked word by word, why did you leave me alone in the palace? Empress Mu smiled bitterly. Jianjia, you have suffered. It is all Mother's fault. Mother also knows that you had not had a good life these years. Mother kneels down to apologize to you. Her knees went weak and she was about to kneel down. Xiao Hong also hurriedly supported her and prevented her from kneeling down. Don't help me. This is all my fault. It's my fault as a mother. Seeing this, even though Xiao Jianjia felt very aggrieved, she couldn't just watch her kneel down. How can a mother kneel before her daughter? She quickly stepped forward and supported Empress Mu. No. Get up. Unexpectedly, when she supported her, Empress Mu hugged her and burst into tears. Jianjia, my daughter, I miss you so much. Over the years, I have thought about it day and night, but I can't do anything about it. It's useless to blame myself. Xiao Jianjia just shed tears silently, without saying a word, and listened to her apology and confession. Originally painful heart felt better now, but that didn't mean she forgave him. She is not a 3-year-old. Even if she said it out loud, she would still be left behind. She distanced herself calmly and said, anyway, it's good that you're still alive. I just want to know why you faked your death. When you left one after another, you clearly had the opportunity to take me out of the palace. Seeing that Xiao Jianjia was not as moved as he had imagined, he questioned her calmly instead. Xiao Hong knew that his sister was not easy to deceive. After all, she was the emperor's woman for several years. If she had believed it so easily, she would have died long ago. Empress Mu also cried and said, after all, this matter is still your father's fault. What does it have to do with my father? Xiao Jianjia said coldly, now that he's gone, can you just find an excuse and put all the responsibility on him? Of course it has something to do with him. Because it was his idea that I faked my death. Empress Mu said sadly, at the beginning, your father had a quarrel with the new party and enjoyed it very much. And because Biao Yang was defeated by the barbarians, the prestige that your father had accumulated with great difficulty was lost. A new party found a breakthrough and almost sidelined your father. After that, your father gave up on himself. If I remember correctly, that was the 12th year of the divine appointment, when the treacherous prime minister officially took power. And your father rarely attended court after that. Xuanjian Wendiao even asked about setting up an alchemy room in the palace. He ruined his health by eating those pills. Those strong and powerful drugs deplete your vital energy. If you don't have sex with a woman every time, you won't be able to release the effects of the drugs. That winter, he believed the words of the sorcerer and almost deposed me. Later he said that it would be detrimental to the country for me to be the queen. I will be destroyed. At this point, she sobbed softly. At that time, he took medicine and became a little crazy, you know that. If I hadn't been awake at the critical moment, I would have died long ago. Later, he felt guilty and sent me out of the palace, saying that the world was in chaos and the court could no longer continue. It would be better to get out than to stay in the palace and wait for death. Maybe there would be hope to revive Daqian in the future. I left the palace with the mission of reviving Daqian. Xiao Jianjia was skeptical. Okay, even if that's the case, why didn't you contact me after Dad passed away? He is clearly in contact with Uncle Duan Prince. So why doesn't he come to me? Where were you when there was no one around me? Empress Mu sniffed and replied, I was in Biaoyang, thousands of miles away from you at that time. There was a drought in the north. The whole north was in chaos. People were eating each other, and warlords were everywhere. Where could I go? I really have the will but not the ability. I know that you won't believe anything I say now, and I don't expect you to believe it. But how many mothers don't love their own children? Jianjia. If beating me or scolding me can make you feel better, I'm willing to do it. Even if I have to die, I am willing to do so. As she said this, Empress Mu became ruthless and slammed into the wall. Mother, don't! Xiao Hong exclaimed and hurriedly grabbed Queen Mu. Xiao Jianjia was also shocked and quickly hugged her. No. I am a sinner. My husband doesn't want me, and my daughter blames me. Life is worse than death. It would be better for me to die and put an end to it all. Empress Mu beat her chest and stamped her feet, constantly beating herself. Let me go, let me die. so that I don't have to stay in this world and suffer. Xiao Jianjia sighed. Forget it, I don't want to pursue the past anymore. There's nothing to pursue. You carried me for 10 months and gave birth to me, so I have no right to blame you. Jianjia, have you forgiven me? Queen Mu looked at her with tears in her eyes. Xiao Jianjia stood up and said, now that we've met and talked, if there's nothing else, you can go first. I still have other patients to see. You still haven't forgiven me. Queen Mu said sadly. Xiao Hong also found it difficult. His sister was completely different from the way she was in the past. Jianjia, why have you become so cold-blooded now? Mother has suffered so much, and you don't ask about it? I can't help her with her suffering, just like she can ask about my suffering. Xiao Jianjia looked at Xiao Hong deeply. I understand your thoughts, but I want to tell you, if you don't want to get into trouble, stay away from me. As a daughter, I am married now and have no say in my parents' family. But if they ask me to pay, I am willing to give all my money. I have fulfilled my filial duty in front of the master. Xiao Hong frowned. You are too cold-blooded. Isn't it normal for family members to help each other? Do you really think I am so despicable? I'm not thinking of you as mean. I'm protecting you. Xiao Jianjia said, you don't think that you can become a royal relative just by recognizing me now, do you? To tell you the truth, my situation is not good, and there are many things that cannot be explained. That will only embarrass you. Now that you have left the palace, just live your life in peace. At least it's safe in Liangjing. No one will hurt you. Empress Mu's heart skipped a beat. Her eyes were filled with resentment and anger, but she didn't dare to show it. She just cried and said, yes, I haven't asked about you for so many years. It's normal for you to feel resentful. It's my fault as a mother. I am a burden to you. If I live, if that's the case, I'd better die. She got up from the ground, pushed open the window, and stepped half a foot in. Chapter 326. A Big Trouble. Xiao Hong also made up his mind. Mom, please come down quickly. It's because of your son's incompetence that you have to suffer with him. Xiao Jianjia was also helpless, and hurriedly grabbed Empress Mu and said, come down quickly, don't do this. It's not going to look good. You don't even want to call me mother. I know that in your heart, the moment I abandoned you, I was no longer your mother. Queen Mu was in tears. She knew Xiao Jianjia's thoughts too well. At this moment, her crying also attracted the attention of others. The patients who were basking in the sun downstairs saw this scene and looked over. Director Xiao, what happened? The old aunt above, stop trying to kill yourself. What is there to discuss? Everyone below began to persuade Queen Mu. Hearing their voices, Queen Mu cried even harder. I was wrong, I'm not a good mother. I don't deserve to be a mother. Xiao Jianjia looked at the people below. Just at this moment, there was a knock on the door and Xiao Yao's voice came from outside. What happened? Xiao Jianjia sighed faintly. Now it's what you wish for, since you want to bring this matter to light. Then do as you wish. Xiao Hong was also happy. Hurry to remind Queen Mu. Queen Mu cried and said, Jianjia, I didn't mean that. Don't misunderstand me. I just feel guilty and uncomfortable. Xiao Jianjia said in her heart, if you were really ashamed, you wouldn't make such a fuss. She also realized that Empress Mu would not really jump down. Someone who really wanted to die would not scream and shout. She let go of her hand. Peony, come in. The door opened, Xiao Yao came in, and when she saw the scene in the room, she was also confused. Director Xiao, what is going on? Xiao Jianjia returned to her seat and said, as you can see, one of them is my second brother, and the other is my mother. Xiao Yao was stunned. Didn't Xiao Jianjia's mother die a long time ago? How come another mother appeared? Realizing the seriousness of the matter, she hurriedly called people in and then went to ask the emperor for instructions. Xiao Hong gave Empress Mu a look and then hugged her down. Mother, Jianjia has a broad mind and will definitely not care about so many things. Empress Mu also kept wiping away tears. Jianjia, has mother caused you trouble again? Xiao Jianjia didn't say anything, but just said to the guard, please take them aside first, I still have other patients to see. Then she added, forget it. It's not appropriate for me to continue seeing patients. I'll go find Nexi and transfer the patient to her. Having said that, he left the office with a cold face. In the room, Xiao Hong and Queen Mu looked at each other. In fact, the two of them didn't care whether Xiao Jianjia was happy or not. What they want is to make this matter bigger and lure Lu Yuan over. They understood from Xiao Jianjia's attitude that she had no intention of recognizing them at all. She must want to enjoy the wealth and glory alone. There was no need to consider so much for such a selfish person. When Lu Yuan heard the news, he was also confused. After thinking for 3 seconds, he rushed to the military hospital. When he arrived, Xia Hongmei was also there. Your Majesty, I am your humble servant. Xia Hongmei also hurried to pay her respects. Now as the head of the medical department, she has to do more than just manage the hospital. Xiao Jianjia left things to hurry disrupted her schedule, which made her a little dissatisfied. She could only assign these patients to other doctors, and she didn't dare to leave. Chao Jianjia, who has no father or mother, suddenly has parents. If they were still in the security department, she would control these two people immediately. Moreover, she also notified Niudajan immediately. Niudajan was currently the head of Day Security Bureau, which was also an independent department directly governed by the imperial court. It was not one of the 6 ministries, but its rank was only half a level lower than that of the 6 ministries. Niudajan. I'm here. Niudajan trembled all over and stood up straight. Li Yuan glanced at him and asked, "Is this the security job you do? I deserve to die." Niudajan knelt on the ground, cursing in his heart, "Damn it, this is just a fuss. I just got promoted and I ran into this shit. Every time I run into this woman Xiao Jianjia, no good will happen. Every time I get criticized and punished. It's because of her." Xiao Jianjia also looked guilty. "It has nothing to do with Lord Niu. Who does it have to do with?" Li Yuan looked at Xiao Hong and Queen Mu again and said, "Go to Xi Hongmei's office." Xiao Jianjia bit her lip and followed Lu Yuan in silence. She was very confused. Her relationship with Lu Yuan was already tense, and now this incident suddenly popped up. What would he think? "Do you feel that you planned this matter yourself?" Xiao Hong and Queen Mu followed closely behind, but were blocked by Xi Hongmei and others and could not get close to Lu Yuan. The guards were also facing a formidable enemy, with their guns loaded. If there was anything wrong with these two men, they would be shot dead immediately. When they arrived at the office, Li Yuan sat down on the desk with a swagger. And Xia Hongmei stood obediently by the side waiting. Niudajan's eyes never left the two of them from beginning to end. Xiao Jianjia stood in the middle, with her head down, looking like she had done something wrong. The atmosphere in the room was tense. Xiao Hong, this is the name he changed later, right? He came to be Aoyang in the second year of XNWU, and later joined the logistics support team through conscription. Li Yuan explained Xiao Hong's information in detail. Xiao Hong also knelt on the ground in a hurry. "Your Majesty, please forgive me. I came to be Aoyang just to save my life. During this period, I did not contact Bau Jingji." He also straightforwardly told the story of how he came to be Aoyang. "I dare not lie. And I have never done anything to harm Your Majesty, please understand." He was very nervous. Although Li Yuan was young, he was much more cold-blooded and ruthless than most people. Those who can accomplish great things are always those who have a heart as strong as iron. He didn't dare to tell even the slightest lie. So everything he said was true and there was evidence to support it. It can withstand inspection and is not afraid of being inspected. Li Yuan retracted his gaze and looked at Queen Mu. "What about you?" Empress Mu was frightened by Li Yuan's gaze. She thought to herself, "This little emperor is so handsome, why is his eyes so scary?" "Your Majesty, this matter is a long story. Involving the scandal of the Daqian royal family." Seeing her knees go weak and she kneeled down, Li Yuan remained indifferent and instead gave Xiao Jianjia a seat. Xiao Jianjia was also stunned. Looking at the chair, she felt inexplicably warm in her heart. She thought that when Lu Yuan came, he would scold her and say all kinds of sarcastic things to her. She is too petty. When she thought of this, she felt a little guilty. Seeing her sitting upright, looking straight ahead, as if she had done something wrong, Li Yuan found it funny. He took out a cigarette and listened to Queen Mu telling the story in tears. Chapter 327, Chop it up and feed it to the dog. "Your Majesty, everything I said is true. I have never left Day in recent years. If you have a call, I have also come here to help. My son and I have never done anything to harm Day. In my heart, Day is the orthodox power in the Central Plains, and in the future it will unify the world and end the chaos. Your Majesty is an unprecedented overlord." Seeing that she still had her charm and kept calling him old man, Li Yuan also said with a smile, "If that's the case, then why did you jump out again? What are you planning?" I just owe Jianjia a debt. I came to her this time not to recognize her as my relative, but just to resolve the misunderstanding between mother and daughter. This incident has been lingering in my mind for several years and I can't get it out of my mind. Every time I think about it, I can't sleep all night and can't eat or sleep. Your Majesty, please understand my mother's helplessness." Empress Mu cried sincerely, but her tears were worthless, like a faucet. I haven't heard them since she entered the room. If it were an ordinary person, he would have believed it long ago. But Lu Yuan knew these grandsons too well. There is no benefit for doing this. If Xiao Jianjia was a maid in the palace, would they still cry, make a fuss, and even hang themselves? To put it bluntly, he just wants to be a royal relative. However, if these people jumped out, it would be quite difficult for Lu Yuan to deal with them. To keep it simple, just clean them out directly. But if the news gets out, people will say that Lu Yuan is narrow-minded and intolerant. Recruiting these members of the Daqian royal family would be able to appease the people. No mother would abandon her children and leave the palace alone. Lu Yuan exhaled a of smoke. If my mother knew that I was suffering outside, she would try every possible way to help me. Empress Mu said a grieved lie. I have no choice as long as Jia can calm down. I am willing to die. Li Yuan raised his hand and interrupted her. Don't try that if you really want to do this for her own good. There are plenty of opportunities to help her. Hold back your tears. If you cry again, I will throw you off the building and fulfill your wish. Queen Mu was so frightened that her whole body was shaking. She looked aggrieved and pitiful. In her heart, she cursed. This bastard. I am his mother-in-law after all. How can you treat your elders like this? How uneducated. Jia, do you forgive them? Li Yuan asked. Jia could see that Li Yuan was venting his anger for her. If she didn't have any backbone at this moment, she would be confused. She shook her head and said, I don't hate them. And I definitely don't want to forgive them easily. I don't want to ask whether they are right or wrong now. I just want to live a stable life and do my job. I don't want to have anything to do with too many people. Xiao Hong's face fell. Empress Mu was also full of disbelief. You, Jia, how can you be so cruel? Do you have to let your mother die in front of you to be satisfied? Jia shook her head. From her complexion, she could tell that she was living an even better life than herself. No matter how simply she dresses, it can't hide her elegance. Those hands were as white and tender as those of an 18-year-old, and even more slender and smoother than my own. If it were my past self, I would have most likely been deceived by her. Unfortunately, she is no longer the Jia of the past. Jia, this is your biological mother. She has apologized to you, confessed to you, and even knelt down for you. Do you really want to force her to death? Xiao Shan gritted his teeth and said, Your Majesty, they governs the country with filial piety. Is it justifiable for you to do this? If it gets out, it will bring shame to your Majesty. If the little princess treats you like this in the future, won't you be sad and upset? This big hat was put on Jia, forcing her to retreat. Xiao Hong took advantage of the situation and continued. Since ancient times, there have been no parents who are not wrong. I understand that you are angry, but if you cut off your relationship with your mother, you will be despised and ridiculed by the world. Do you think the bloodline can be cut off? Can you cut it off with just one sentence? Jia bit her lip and looked at Li Yuan helplessly. Li Yuan frowned. This guy was accused of many things and occupied the commanding heights of mainstream morality. It would be a pity if he didn't join a pyramid scheme. Someone, chop them up and feed them to the dogs. Li Yuan raised his hand. As soon as these words were spoken, the faces of the people in the room changed. Xiao Hong's face changed drastically, and Queen Mu's heart was in her throat, and tears burst out instantly. Jia was also stunned. Niudaj laughed grimly. He just heard the mother and son talking, and his uncle was about to come. Although he didn't like Jia, it was not their turn to complain here. Yes, Your Majesty. Niudaj rubbed his hands together, grabbed Xiao Hong's neck, and exerted force suddenly, causing Xiao Hong to scream in pain. Duan also pulled Queen Mu out. Your Majesty, please spare my life. I have done nothing wrong. Why has it come to this? Queen Mu was terrified. She had thought of many situations, but never this one. Jia was also frightened and wanted to beg for mercy. But when she saw Li Yuan's expression, she forced herself to hold back. Stop talking nonsense to me. However, considering that you two have lived for so many years, it would be a shame to feed you to dogs. I will just kill you and keep you in the military hospital to make a cadaver for the students to dissect. At that time, let those students see whether the body structure of you, the royal family of Daqian, is different from that of ordinary people. They gouge your hearts and see if they are black. Xiao Hong was so frightened that he went limp all over. It would have been fine if he was killed, but they soaked him up and made bacon and dissected him for students. That was truly a disgrace. He couldn't even rest in peace after death. Your Majesty, I know I was wrong. I deserve to die. I shouldn't have concealed my identity. Xiao Shan cried with tears and snot. Li Yuan waved his hand, and the two were quickly pulled down. Then he waved at Xia Hongmei and whispered something in her ear. Yes, Your Majesty. Xia Hongmei nodded and left the room and followed him out. Only Li Yuan and Jia were left in the room. The atmosphere is still depressing. Jia placed her hands on her knees and clenched her fists. She wanted to ask something, but was afraid. Li Yuan ignored her and put his legs on the desk, smoking a cigarette. After a long while, Jia finally said, Your Majesty. Something? Li Yuan glanced at her. Jia blushed and hesitated for a long time. Don't smoke too much, it's bad for your health. After saying this, she lowered her head, and her fair neck turned red in an instant. Even her ears were red. Li Yuan was stunned, nodded, and then crushed the cigarette. The room fell into silence again. But the tense relationship between the two people eased a lot. Do you really want to kill them? Jia said in a dilemma. They didn't commit any heinous crimes. How about you just spare their lives? Li Yuan sneered. Are you feeling distress? Want to save them? The door is behind you, I won't stop you. Chapter 328. The answer from the heart. That's not what I meant. Ever since they left me behind, I realized that I'm not important. Xiao Ji and Jia smiled bitterly and said, they came back to find me because I'm still valuable, they just want wealth and glory. Li Yuan's expression lightened up a bit. Not bad, I didn't lose my mind because of a few words from others. Xiao Ji and Jia rolled her eyes at him and said, I'm not stupid. I've been through so much. If I believed what you said casually, then I really deserve it. I just find it ridiculous that when I was isolated and helpless, they had already sneaked out of the palace and hid in a safe place. Now you come back and talk nonsense. But she gave birth to me, and I owe her my life. Even if I don't want to recognize her, I don't want her to die in front of me. Xiao Ji and Jia twisted her fingers. I'm not trying to protect her. Don't misunderstand me. I know you're venting my anger for me. I'm grateful to you in my heart. Well, that's reasonable. Lu Yuan nodded, then leaned back in his chair and said lazily, forget it, since you said so. Let's just spare their lives. Xiao Ji and Jia breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you, Your Majesty. For some reason, her heart suddenly leapt with joy, and even her tone became cheerful. Originally gloomy mood instantly turned into a sunny day. Not long after, Xiao Hong and Queen Mu were dragged back. They were both soaked and it was obvious that they had drunk a lot of water. At this point, the two of them didn't dare to say anything anymore. The look he gave Lu Yuan was filled with fear. Thank you, Your Majesty, for not killing me. Thank you, Your Majesty, for sparing my life. Xiao Hong knelt on the ground, knocking his head loudly. Empress Mu also suppressed her fear and sobbed softly. Thank you, Your Majesty, for sparing my life. She didn't dare to call herself old man anymore, and kept calling her slave girl all the time, being extremely humble. It's not that I want to spare you, it's Ji and Jia who was begging for mercy. Otherwise, after you've drunk enough water, I can inject you with potion, and then smear your bodies with coarse salt. Pickle them for a few days, and then put them on display. Li Yuan's words made the mother and son tremble all over. Thank you, Queen Xiao. Xiao Hong also hurriedly turned around and kowtowed to Xiao Ji and Jia. Queen Mu followed suit, but as soon as she kowtowed, Xiao Ji and Jia stood up and dodged away. Even if Xiao Ji and Jia has many faults, she is not just an ordinary person who can be blamed. You guys spoke so arrogantly in front of me. I was going to kill you to vent my anger, Li Yuan said. I know I was wrong, and I will never dare to do it again. Xiao Hong hated Xiao Ji and Jia in his heart, and said that Lu Yuan did not spoil her. If this is not spoiling, what is it? Just want to monopolize wealth and glory. This slut. Queen Mu also hated Xiao Ji and Jia. Also, it's useless for you to abandon Ji and Jia and apologize later. If I kill you now, will it be of any use if she begs for mercy later? Li Yuan said again. It's useless. It's because I'm too stupid that Your Majesty has suffered injustice. Xiao Hong slapped himself in the face. It's my fault. Please calm down, Your Majesty. Ji and Jia. What do you think? Li Yuan looked at Xiao Ji and Jia. Forget it, let's stop here, said Xiao Ji and Jia. Li Yuan nodded and said, go down from now on. Don't flaunt your identity as Ji and Jia's relative. If I find out, I will kill you. Finally, I would like to leave you with a word of advice. Only when a mother is kind can her children be filial. Get out of here. The mother and son were granted amnesty and crawled to the door while giving thanks. After the mother and son left, Li Yuan looked at Xiao Ji and Jia. Are you sure you don't recognize them? Sure. No regrets? No regrets, Xiao Ji and Jia said affirmatively. The Xiao family should have some talented people. I will consider it appropriately if they are talented and loyal to the court, like Xiao Chai. I will summon them to serve as officials. Li Yuan said. Xiao Ji and Jia suddenly felt a lump in her throat. No need. I'm only doing this for Huan Huan's sake. Li Yuan smiled and then turned and left. Huan Huan is the eldest princess and also the poorest princess. Without much support, Li Yuan now has enough time and energy to pay attention to her and take care of her. But in time, he will have more children. At that time he could no longer focus all his attention on Huan Huan. Therefore cultivating some Xiao family officials can protect Huan Huan. As for whether these people had any ulterior motives, Li Yuan didn't care. Who doesn't have little thoughts? Xia Hongmei also looked at Xiao Ji and Jia deeply and hurried to see Li Yuan off. Xiao Ji and Jia sniffed. She naturally understood what Li Yuan meant. At this moment, she truly realized how meticulous Li Yuan's mind was and how long-term he considered things. He always stood silently behind me when I needed him most, never taking credit or showing off. It's a pity that she didn't understand before. She always believed what she saw and heard, but never looked at him carefully. Li Yuan's kindness is never just spoken, his kindness needs to be felt with the heart. At this moment, Xiao Ji and Jia heard the answer from her heart. At this time, Queen Mu and her son returned home in embarrassment. The two of them had just vomited all the way and vomited out all the water in their stomachs. Queen Mu almost vomited bile. This little bastard. She's betraying Tiangang and forgetting her roots. Has she forgotten where she came from? Queen Mu was so angry that she was shaking all over thinking of the humiliation just now. She regretted it very much. If I had known this would happen, I should have strangled this bitch to death when I gave birth to her, and I wouldn't have let this old lady suffer such a great humiliation. Xiao Shan said, she just wants to monopolize the wealth and glory, mother. We can't let them have such an easy life. Aren't you in touch with Prince Tuan? Ask him for help, Empress Mu said. I want her to be ruined. Xiao Hong smiled bitterly and whispered, Mom, it will not be good for us to let her be ruined. So are we just going to let it go? Empress Mu was so angry. No, I can't swallow this. Well, of course we can't just let it go like this, but she has the Emperor's protection. We can't do anything to her. However, there are still ways to deal with her. Xiao Hong came up with a plan and whispered a few words in Queen Mu's ear. Queen Mu also sneered, this is a good idea. We must punish this little bitch. However, our prosperity and wealth will not depend on her, so we should ask Xiao Yu for help. If things get dark in one place, there will be other ways. That slave girl doesn't want help from her relatives, but Xiao Yu definitely wants it. Xiao Hong comforted her softly. Mom, please be patient for a while. When Xiao Yu is favored, our family will soar to the sky. When Xiao Yu gives birth to a prince, it will be time for us to return to Daqian. By then, you will be the supreme holy mother, Queen Mother, and your son will definitely be filial to you. Empress Mu smiled with satisfaction. My son, your love for you is not in vain. From now on, I will rely on you. Chapter 329. New strategy. On the other side, Cheku looked at the team that was beaten back and hurried forward. Why are you back so soon? The leader of the army was the captain. Xiang Yi walked up to Cheku angrily and grabbed him by the collar. Son of a bitch, didn't you say that only Bai Yang had such powerful weapons? Why does Da Jing have them too? Cheku was almost out of breath. Master Xiang, I don't know either. They had invaded Dajing for some time and were having a great time galloping across the western part of Dajing, burning, killing and looting. The entire west has become their paradise. However, when attacking the western gateway Yanshu, they encountered strong resistance. Considering that Yanshu is an important gateway to the hinterland of Dajing and one of the important fortresses, it is normal that it is easy to defend and difficult to attack. However, after attacking for a full half-month, they still failed to capture Yanshu. So some people suggested bypassing Yanshu and attacking from other places anyway. Dajing had just suffered a defeat, was badly damaged, and had lost all its elite troops. They only needed to send a part of the troops to contain the enemy from the front, and they could completely advance westward. But until a few days ago, Dajing took out the musket and awakened Chiku's fear of being dominated by Biaoyang. What followed was a large number of casualties. The Han cavalry, who had never faced muskets and grenades, suffered their first defeat. This was one of the few defeats the Xiongnu had suffered in all its years of dominance. The people of the barbarian tribe also persuaded, Sir, there is news that Dajing has become a vassal state of Dai. It is normal to have support from Dai. After hearing this, Xiaoyang let go of him unhappily. You didn't say that before. You said Biaoyang was just a city, but now Biaoyang is a big country that can suppress the three kingdoms and make them dare not move. Cheku smiled bitterly. It's all because Lu Yuan is too powerful, but if it weren't for this, and Dajing's elite troops were still there, it would not be easy for us to easily break into Dajing. My subordinates thought that the most important thing now was not to get entangled with Dajing, but to rescue Dai's trapped compatriots. Lu Yuan is a ruthless person, extremely cruel to aliens. Xiaoyang kicked him away with a fierce kick, and said fiercely, with only 100,000 soldiers, can you defeat Dai with 3 million troops so easily? I am confident, but I am not a fool. Your Majesty once said that whenever there is trouble in Middle-earth, heroes and tyrants emerge. Although our tribes on the grassland have been glorious, they will eventually be defeated by our arrogance. Only by taking each step carefully and learning the wisdom of the people of Middle-earth can we advance steadily. Chiku knelt on the ground, holding his stomach in pain, and tried to smile. My lord is wise. You bastard, Xiang sneered and walked into the tent. The one behind him also followed quickly in. After everyone gathered, Xiang said, we have to change our strategy. In the western part of Dajing we can't burn, kill and loot anymore. The reason we killed them in the early stage was to make them afraid. As long as they see us, they will be cunning from the bottom of their hearts. But recently, we have encountered a lot of resistance. In this situation, someone will inevitably stand up to fight back, which will be detrimental to our rule. There were purebred Huns in the camp, but there were more foreign generals of different skin colors, from the northern desert to the hundreds of western Yi states, and then to the Agubk Empire. The Xiongnu established an empire and had a very strict system. Moreover, these people were sitting upright, listening intently. People from the barbarian tribes such as Chiku were also standing nearby, not daring to make a sound. Are we cruel? But when the people of Middle-earth fought for supremacy, they often left 9 out of 10 houses empty, with no roosters crowing for thousands of miles and bones exposed in the wild. Is it a merit for them to kill people? But a fault for us to kill people? Xiang asked this question, causing everyone present to look thoughtful. We can kill people without any mistakes. We kill people for revenge for so many years. The Middle-earth has been treating us, the tribes of the grassland, as animals. Heaven has its own way of retribution, and we are just following nature. People kept responding to Xiang's words. Xiang nodded in satisfaction. That's right, so after we establish our authority, we must rule the people in the western part of Dajing as our own people and let them feel the broad-mindedness of us Xiongnu people. From now on, stop the killing, recruit those rebels, establish a Xiongnu state in the west, warn the world, and recruit people with aspirations. Exempt this area from 10 years of co-RV labor and 10 years of agricultural taxes, and divide the land equally. To Xiang, 10 years of corvée labor and 10 years of agricultural taxes were not important at all. What's important is that the people of this land will be grateful to the Huns. And these days, many aristocratic families and powerful people surrendered. Those who disobeyed were killed long ago. He always remembered His Majesty's words. The aristocratic families and the powerful are the brains of the common people. As long as we kill them and strangle their throats, the common people will naturally speak for the Xiongnu. Anyway, the large army of the Xiongnu Empire will not be able to arrive in a short time. They have already accumulated enough military rations through the burning, killing and looting in the early stage. It will be no problem to support it for 3 to 5 years. The Middle-earth people are even more cruel to their own people. Your Majesty's strategy is to control Middle-earth with Middle-earth. Yes sir, everyone nodded. Keep your men in check. If there are any cases of killing people without reason or defiling women, I will execute them without mercy. Xiang snorted coldly. This is a matter concerning the great cause of the Xiongnu Empire. If anyone dares to hold me back, I will kill his entire family. Everyone hurried to express their feelings. Also cease fire with Dajing, negotiate and make Dajing surrender, Xiang said. Everyone present was stunned. Sir, if we stop fighting now, will Dajing think we are afraid of them? What is our goal? Are we going to conquer Middle-earth now? Do you think we can do it with just the people we have? Xiang said coldly. We are just pawns, here to test the reaction of the Middle-earth. If the people of Middle-earth still remember the hatred from more than 200 years ago, they would surely put aside their prejudices and come together to resist us. This is not a good thing for the Huns. But there is no need to be too nervous. Middle-earth is in turmoil and everyone is in danger. We can negotiate with Dajing first. If he doesn't surrender, then cooperate. Everyone was confused again and suddenly didn't understand. Xiang didn't explain either. Xie Chiqiu has lived among the 3 great powers for many years, and he quickly reacted to this strategy. Your Excellency is wise. As long as Dajing is not hostile to us, we will not provoke hostility from the Middle-earth. And we changed our strategy in order to relax people's vigilance through their praise. We are not invaders, but one of the contenders for hegemony in Middle-earth. Xiang looked at Xie Chiqiu in surprise and nodded slowly. Yes, as long as Dajing recognizes our status. They can intervene in the struggle for hegemony in central China with a legitimate reason. Chapter 330, I can tolerate this tone. The Xiongnu changed their strategy very timely. In just a few days, the western part of Dajing changed its previous confrontational state. Originally ferocious Han soldiers suddenly became good soldiers who protected the country and the people. The sharp contrast confused the civilian resistance forces. Soon after, the entire West was shocked when the Huns issued an announcement to exempt from taxes, co-RV labor, distribute land, and even distribute grain. With the help of the aristocratic families in the West, it took less than half a month to turn the Huns, who had slaughtered innocent people indiscriminately, into bodhisattvas who saved people from suffering. The people even began to praise the Huns for their kindness and concern for the people. Following the tax exemption announcement, the Huns made 3 agreements with the local people. The content of the announcement is roughly as follows. Dajing is incompetent, ceded land and paid compensation, lost power and humiliated the country, and became a vassal. The ruler is incompetent, and we, the Huns, are determined to attack Day and seek justice. Before that, the law of Dajing's excessive taxation was abolished. Now I have an agreement with you all that no matter who you are, you must abide by 3 laws. Those who kill will be put to death, those who injure will be punished, and those who steal will be convicted. When this second notice was issued, the entire West was somewhat stunned. But what followed was the support of the people. Killing establishes authority, and giving away grain tax-free establishes virtue. The people of Dajing all felt ashamed of Emperor Jing's loss of power and humiliation of the country. This shame spread from the court to the people. So some people suggested diverting hatred and standing with the people. This is Lixin. The authority has been established, the virtue is flawless, the heart is always there. And the war has a legitimate reason. Therefore, it was reasonable for the Xiongnu to negotiate with Dajing. Even the voices from the west have spread to the heart of Dajing. The caravans from the aristocratic families spread the news widely, which soon caused an uproar among the people. This situation is getting worse and worse, and the uninformed people are even applauding. Although no one dared to say it openly, everyone was talking about how the Huns were acting in the name of justice. Even the killings they believed were happening in the West were lies by those in power. If the Huns were really so brutal, how could they be exempt from taxes and labor service, and also distribute land and grain for free? They even abolished many unreasonable laws, leaving only 3 simple laws that are easy to understand. Who wouldn't be moved after hearing this? On one side, there were the Huns' sugar-coated bullets filled with poison. On the one hand, there were domestic conflicts caused by the loss of sovereignty and humiliation of the country after Dajing suffered a series of defeats. After the collision, the conflicts aroused made Xi Cheng miserable. Bang! He kicked over the documents, drew out the emperor's sword, and madly chopped things in the palace to vent his anger. The Xi family governed Dajing for more than 200 years. But it was not as effective as the Xiongnu killing and burning people for more than a month. After he was tired of chopping, he sat down weakly on the steps. No one in the palace dared to step forward. After hearing the news, Sun Wuji rushed to the palace as soon as possible. Looking at the mess on the ground, Sun Wuji calmly saluted Xi Cheng and said, "Your Majesty, why are you angry?" Xi Cheng glanced at Sun Wuji and sighed, "I just don't understand why those unruly people are so stupid." Sun Wuji smiled and said, "Your Majesty has already said that they are unruly people, so why should we worry about them?" Xi Cheng patted the steps and Sun Wuji hurriedly sat down. Wuji, the Xiongnu have the guidance of an expert. Those 2 announcements hit Dajing right in the heart. Those unruly people only care about having enough food and clothing. But they don't care about benevolence, righteousness, morality, let alone what is orthodoxy. If it was a year ago, I wouldn't be afraid at all. But now, they refused to send troops and only provided some weapons. It's really shameful, Xi Cheng said with some hurt. There is no friendship between countries, only interests. From Day's perspective, the Xiongnu invasion is a drain on Dajing's strength. As outsiders, burning, killing and looting would not help Day solve too many troubles, so they naturally would not send troops over. Thus providing some obsolete weapons can save the suzerain country's face. Sun Wuji sneered. But Lu Yuan's plan is too good. How can we fulfill his wish? You mean? Didn't the Huns send people over to negotiate? You also want me to bow my head? Xi Cheng's eyes flashed with a fierce light. Losing today was forced, the Xiongnu are nothing. If they hadn't tempted their family fortune in the past 2 years, they wouldn't have been able to get in at all. Don't you think I'm not ashamed enough? Sun Wuji was not nervous at all. Your Majesty, do you want to fight for a short time or for a lifetime? Or have you forgotten your ambition? Of course I haven't forgotten. Surrender is impossible, but a ceasefire is possible. Or just letting them occupy the thousands of miles of territory in the west and not taking it back. Xi Cheng's expression was extremely gloomy. He didn't feel ashamed to lose today, but he felt ashamed to lose to the Xiongnu. They were once a barbarian tribe. A foreign race. How can I negotiate with them? If your Majesty asks Diaxia or Dakian for help now, will they send troops? Sun Wuji sighed. Diaxia already has the formula for gunpowder, and they are now working hard to make gunpowder and muskets. I won't take action until I have the strength to confront Day head-on. If I were Emperor Xia, I would just try my best to cover up the truth, show weakness, and let Day let down his guard. Not to mention Dakian, which threw thousands of miles of territory in the north today without even waiting for Lu Yuan to speak. Who in the world would not laugh at him? Yang Ji only wanted to dominate the south of the Yangtze River and be content with being his own local emperor. What great cause are you talking to him about? Will he pay attention to us? Lu Yuan is intent on weakening Dajing isn't his goal to unify Middle-earth. It's just that due to the face of the suzerain country, he has no name to go to war now. It's hard to find someone to do this for him. Do you think he will help? Xi Cheng said in a somewhat lost tone. If the knife doesn't fall on them, they naturally won't feel the pain. If the lips are gone, the teeth will be cold. So they must feel the danger. You are right, so peace talks are the key. It would be best if we could form an alliance with the Xiongnu and use them to control Day. We can find a way to exchange more military supplies from Day on the one hand. We can strengthen our own strength on the other hand. We can manufacture muskets and find a way to obtain the gunpowder formula from Diaxia. If we can get the formula for gunpowder, the Huns will not be a problem. The most important thing is that by cooperating with the Huns, we can put pressure on Diaxia and Dakian. Don't leave them out. Only in this way can we drag everyone down with us. Xi Cheng also thought it made sense, but he said coldly, I will never negotiate with the Xiongnu. Sun Wuji stood up, knelt on the ground. and said sadly, "Your Majesty, please think about the people of the world. You. This, hey." Xi Yao Ching sighed heavily, "Forget it, for the sake of the people of this world, I will endure this."